slides it off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel's broadcast of Round 8 of the Lionheart Retro Series. Tonight's race will feature iRacing's classic Lotus 79 on a track that needs little introduction, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as we run the second stage of this year's Triple Crown. Hello, I'm Adam Young, and with me tonight in the booth is Tanner Sharp, in the director's chair trying to get over the awe of the Speedway, Mr. Joe Peak, and he'll be featuring the wonderful cameras of Dougie Beard. Good evening to you, Tanner. Indianapolis just hosted the 101st running of the Indy 500. Today, we're going 250 miles for the iRace for Gauge 250. Tell us some about Indy.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You know this racetrack, whether you're a race fan or not. It is the host, as you said, of the Indianapolis 500. As you just previously mentioned, ran the 101st Indianapolis 500. Every year, it's historical, no matter which way you can point it. They started coming here back in 1909 was when the first track was first built. 9 degrees of banking in the corners and 0 degrees of banking on the long straightaways. This racetrack used to be entirely bricks at one point, but now it's all asphalt. First Indianapolis 500 was won by Ray Haroon, and NASCAR started coming here back in 1994. And tonight we are in the retro Lotus 79 cars, and it's going to be a blast because it's like watching the Xfinity series of the Lionheart series. So to get an idea how to get around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, let's take it to our lap guide here on the Global Sim Racing Channel.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. I'm Brian Yazek, taking you for a spin around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Lotus 79. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is the perfect ground for this classic car. Makes it a perfect combination between the two. So without further ado, here we go. Off into turn 1. When the grandstands fill in, it feels like you're driving into a tunnel, but you're going to turn in just after the stoplight on the wall, bring it right out here towards the wall in the short chute, swing it right back down here, getting those tires just underneath the white line, swinging it off a turn 2 down the long backstretch. This is where you can start to get your drafts. Plot your passes. It's very often at Indianapolis, the pass that you make on the front stretch is set up going down the backstretch right here. Into turn 3, screaming into the corner, getting those tires underneath the white line to the rumble strips, back out towards the fence, straight down into the corner of turn 4, sweeping through here, coming off of the majestic turn 4, down that long front stretch. Everything coming in, down the tunnel vision. You're setting up for your run, but here we go, across the yard of bricks, and that is going to complete our track guide here around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Brian Yazek. Enjoy the show.
While this is the first season for the Lionheart Retro Series, the previous incarnation of the series, almost the granddaddy or the father, if you will, of this series, the Kart Retro Series, saw Pierre Daigle come away with the checkered flags the last time they were here. So we know Pierre has what it takes to get around here, Tanner, but tell us a little bit about the series and the race today and what these guys might face.
Well, first off, let's go into our race details of today. It's going to be round 8 of 18 with 2 drops. The car today we're using is the Lotus 79 custom fixed setup. So these guys have worked on a setup for everybody to use, and everybody's using the exact same setup. 100 laps, 250 miles around the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Indianapolis is 2.5 miles in length. There's 0 fast repairs. The fuel window is going to be about 26 to 36 laps approximately. That means 35% of fuel, so approximately 2 pit stops. Incident cap is going to be a times 12, so you hit that incident cap of a times 12, you will be disqualified from the race. That means if you hit the outside wall, make another car contact with another wall, or another car, shall I say, or the grass area, it counts against that. The restarts are going to be single file here today, and the weather is hot out there, blazing hot, but it's air conditioning up here in the booth, 90 degrees with the winds 2 miles an hour, absolutely clear. So that track temperature is hot and slick today. The series today is sponsored by the sanctioned by the Lionheart Racing League. it's going to be their first season in the Retro Series. 11 ovals, 7 road to make up the schedule, but the Triple Crown races at Pocono, Indianapolis, and Fontana are doubled value, so the points ration is 14-7. A nice 2-to-1 oval to the oval and road mix. As previously mentioned, round 8, of 18 today, so we're in the middle of the season, and the prizes today, $100 in cash, winner's plaque, and tons of other prizes. 42 drivers have registered for this race today, and also the qualifying details is 2 laps by yourself. So it's so you got the whole track to yourself pretty much to try to get down a good qualifying lap.
All right. Now, of course, with that, the championship is kind of a big thing right now. Well, you missed it last time at New Hampshire. Well, you know that Long Beach we didn't have on our air. So, let you know, Jason Galvin took home the win for the last time the Lionheart Retro Series took to the track at Long Beach for his second win of the season. I think that's the closest thing Jason has to a home track. He joins Ryan Otis with having 2 check marks in the win column this season, and that's helped elevate the 2 of them to be second and third on the early championship podium. Now, on top of that leaderboard, though, is Jake Wright, who's managed to get up there with just great consistency so far this season. And so far today, he's on top of the early practice board, too. So he's definitely going to be a guy to watch out for. Now, I will tell you, too, not shown on the screen, if you the 6th through 10th points, it is a big deal. It is tight back there between Chris Lanini, Schoen, Hassert, Daigle, and Wardlow. So even there's battles all throughout the top 10 in points in this series. There's also a team championship on the line for this season. No Name Racing has been on top of that leaderboard pretty much all season long, but with the way the points work out, it's going to take one slip up by the No Name Racing guys, and AGR Motorsports is right back in it. Adrenaline Motorsports sitting in 3rd, Dragonfly Racing sitting in 4th, and Controlled Chaos sitting in 5th on those points. And of course, the series does issue bonus points for winning the pole, leading a lap, leading the most laps, and also a biggie, running an incident-free race. Well, as I mentioned ago, Jason Galvin did take the win at Long Beach, and he had to hold off a really hard-charging Ryan Otis and Jake Wright to come away with it. He had a fairly beat-up machine. They've got the details on the Lionheart Racing Series website. Go check it out. But Tanner, from the tight street course at Long Beach to the lightning fast oval at Indianapolis, what are going to be some of the keys to today's race?
Well, in my opinion, number 1 is going to be patience. When they drop the green flag, it's going to be 100 laps, and these guys are going to be traveling about 190 to 195 miles an hour, and maybe even faster when they're in the drafts. So patience is definitely going to be key, especially if you're mid to back of the pack. Secondly, you're gonna have to watch your restarts. You're gonna be restarting single file, and you really cannot see anybody ahead of you when they're gonna go. So you're really gonna have to be patient getting on that throttle on them restarts. Watch out for the big one too, because on these oval racetracks, sometimes these drivers can pile up coming on the exit of the corner, and every corner getting off these on this racetrack is going to be completely different. Turn 1 is going to be different than turn 2, and turn 1 is going to be different than turn 3. So all 4 of these corners here today is going to be very key today, and getting off those corners is going to be so key. And the restarts is going to be key as well, because you don't want to hit the guy in front of you, even though they're not going. You just got to pay attention and just kind of, understand that you ease into the throttle, so that way you don't hit anybody out there on the racetrack. And if we do have green flag pit stops, don't beat yourself on pit road, because if you get a speeding penalty, that's going to be a black flag.
Yeah, and of course we'll definitely be a little bit careful there on those restarts. Our good buddy Samuel Raymond, he likes to drive the GSRC car in this series. Of course, you hear him a lot of time here on GSRC. He always gives us quite a bit of intel with these guys in practice and how that's going. And he did say that he did note how the wash was in these cars when you're driving in the pack, about having to lift, and then also being able to make passes on both the inside and the outside because of having to lift. But he also noted, and Tanner, you brought up the good point about the restarts. He brought up just how bad he's thinking that the checkups are going to be on the restarts. So that'll be a point to watch here, I think, for today. And one other thing that he wanted to mention was just how great this race ended up being in some of the practice races they did, particularly in the last 10 laps. And if you've I think Joe Hassert right now is trying the same back home in Indiana. So we definitely want to make sure we have the voice chat muted on the broadcast. I don't think we need to bother any cats right now. But Tanner, I got to ask, they qualifying going on right now. Have you ever seen the Indy Lights or Indy Lights series race here?
I don't believe I have seen the Indy Lights series, but I've seen plenty of Indianapolis 500 races here. And actually, as far as the IndyCar series goes in any form, it's probably one of my favorite races to watch on the Indy portion is the Indianapolis 500.
Well, yeah, the Indy laps, they run the Freedom 100 usually on Carb Day, the Friday before the 500. And it seems like that the race year after year almost like it seems to set records for the closest finishes at Indianapolis. It's never really large fields, but you end up with a lot of cars that are really tightly close. Now today, we're going to have a large field. I think I've counted 35 cars that are going to be out there today. But I think this does have the makings of potential of having a very close finish to this race.
Yeah, it can definitely happen. It's kind of funny you just brought that up. As I'm thinking about Indianapolis right now, I'm thinking about all the historical finishes this track has had. There's been drivers that have run out of gas off of turn number 4, and we've seen a different winner. And we've seen crashes on the last lap, and we've seen a different winner. And we've also probably have seen side-by-side racing coming to the line here at Indy with them long straightaways. So with the number of drivers that they're registered today, as you said, about 35 drivers here today, it's going to be a wild race, and so that's why patience is going to be a key here. Is to try to be patient and just kind of let things sort out and see where you're going to be at by the time you hit halfway. And see what happens there. So I'm really excited to get this race going. I mean, it's a very historical racetrack, and I love history, so this is going to be fun to watch.
Well, I'm going to bring up another point here, too, with Samuel Raymond's intelligence gathering for us. We'll just call him the GSRC CIA or something. And he brought up, too, that the fuel stint, we're looking at 35 to 36 laps out of these cars. And he was mentioning, though, that they might see some guys be able to stretch it to 40 to 45 if we get enough cautions. If this ends up being, for whatever reason, a caution fest, do you expect somebody to gamble, be able to try to do this in 40 to 45 lap stints and maybe take a short stop right at the end and maybe try to get up front like that?
If they know how many laps they can go on a tank of fuel, then that certainly can possibly happen. Yes, I'd say according to my notes here, it's about 36 laps. So if you can, figure out from the lap 100 all the way to 36 laps, then definitely you can probably take that gamble, and that's going to be key too. Is going to be your track position.
Well, with that, you're looking at the leaderboard right now. We got about a minute 40 left here before the end of qualifying. These guys right now, some pretty quick times up on the board. Tony Schuh and Jake Wright right now on your early front row. As far as guys to keep an eye on, who are you looking at keeping an eye on here today?
Well, I can't go against him. I like Jake Wright. He's leading the points. He's got 1 win this season. He's got 6 top 10s in the last 7 races. And he's showing a lot of speed. He's starting so far. He's currently 3rd on the grid. He'll be the one to contend with today. But as a sleeper, I can go for a sleeper. I like Andrew Kinsella as a sleeper.
Andrew Kinsella as a sleeper. That'll be a very, very interesting sleeper pick, I think. And we've seen him have a couple of strong moments this season so far. So I think that I'm just looking at these times right now, and it's just so close. I think that you got to look at you guys like Ryan Otis and Joe Branch is usually strong. Joe Branch showing some speed here that he has it. But I think that I'm going to go with the hottest guy on the track right now, and I think that's Jason Galvan. I think that he's got a lot of momentum that he's carried through here the last couple of races, and I think he's going to be dangerous today.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking back at his he won last week, obviously at Long Beach, but before that he had a top five. He had a fifth place finish and a third place finish. So the last about 3 weeks, he's having a straight top five finishes. With last week being the only laps he's led ever since Michigan earlier this year, and it is the most laps he's ever led the entire season. So he is definitely for sure on a hot streak as far as his finishing position is concerned, and I believe he's starting up towards the front, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, he is. He's starting in the second spot, so he's got a really good shot to keep that track position and go to victory lane here at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and take a look at your starting grid here. These guys are all coming onto the grid right now, so we can go ahead and call it. Look at these times and how close they are together. Tony Schuin right now on the pole. Alongside him is going to be Jason Galvin, Jake Wright in row 2, Ryan Otis joining him in row 2, Joe Branch in row 3 alongside Andrew Kinsella, Dan Guerin and Dylan McKenna coming in at row 4, Brian Greenlee and Frank Beezer. And look at that, Tanner. That's 52 hundredths of a second separating those guys.
Oh, yeah, it goes to show what you can do without the draft and everybody driving the same setup. It comes to close qualifying quarters, and outside that top 10, you got Matthew Mercer, Brandon Ligament, Pierre Digel in 13th, Ron Hacker 14th. Oh, man, Big Joe in the midfield, but he's got a good shot at a good top 10 finish. He's up there in the top 10 in points. I think he can get her done today. And Chris Lalini's in 16th, Tutwiler 17th, Wardlow 18th there. Stouffer's back in 20th, and Altman's in 19th.
Yeah, and of course, you got Chris Stouffer there in 20th as well. So moving on to row 11, James Paulson will be starting 21st, Mitchell Moeller in 22nd, Scott Bolster coming in at 23rd position, Jack Bogan in 24th. That's going to round out row 12. Row 13 is going to belong to Rory Collins and Robert Bluen. Robert Bluen a little further back there. I'd like to see him. Look for him to try to make a move. Scott Johnson in 27th, Bart Workman in 28th, Samuel Raymond. Samuel has a method to his madness here for today. We'll see if it works out for him. He's going to be in 29th position in row 15. Behind him, we're waiting to see if any of these guys ended up taking the grid or not. But Jorge Anzaldo, Vincent Blumenthal, Patrick Taylor, Mark Amok, and then Travis Jagerliner. And I know Drew Motz is not currently in the server. So I think that'll round out the field here for today as they pull away.
Well, you got to have a little butterflies when you before you start a race and on a field like this here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, because you're going to come take the green flag. And I mean, tell you what, winning here on a virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's a really cool feeling, that's for sure.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about our onboard cameras here real quick. Go through them, starting off with Jack Bogan. Let's see, Jack today is running the Apex India Elite Series, or excuse me, the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 250, sponsored on board here for today. Of course, Northwest Club driver. Be looking for him to do his best to try to make a move up to get up to the front here today, but he's going to have some traffic in front of him starting back in 24th position. Going over to Joe Branch. Joe Branch out there. We'll be right on board with him quite a bit. That's the Apex India Elite Series camera, the Indiana driver there. He's a little bit closer to the front, starting 5th for today. And then finally, Mitchell Moeller is out there as well. Mitchell today is going to be starting in 27th position. So, excuse me, hold on one second, make sure I got that right. But he's going to be having a lot of traffic in front of him as well as they're coming down the green flag. Pace car is off the track, and they are away for the iRace for Gage 250 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Already seen some guys trying to get to the inside of the track. Look at Jason Galvin there, not getting the greatest of starts. Definitely a great start, though, from Tony Schuin. It looks like Jake Wright's going to try to funnel in there underneath Jason Galvin as they head through the short street, going through two. Jason Galvin fighting back on the outside. He's got a good run. He's going to go ahead and try to challenge Tony Schuin for the early lead here. As you see, the cars are already trying to do a little bit of a snake down the back straightaway as they head off into 3.
Yeah, Tony Schoen doing the best he can to try to hold his race lead. I'm sure being a pole sitter, he wants to at least lead the first lap of this race tonight here at Indy. And so far, it looks like he's trying. Jason Galvin getting a nice draft run coming on the exit of the corner, looking towards the inside down this famed front stretch here. Coming to the line, I do believe it's going to be Galvin coming to the line, and it will be Galvin leading the first lap here at Indy.
Almost looking like a NASCAR plate race there, going two abreast in the draft. And cars running inches off of each other. But this time around, going through one, Jason Galvin is able to take sole possession of first. We got a wreck going through the short chute in between 1 and 2. It looks like the green flag is going to stay out here. Not sure who that was stopped off the track.
Pierre Daigle, I believe.
Oh, that's a tough break. Looks like Frank Beezer was involved.
I think this was a draft effect, too, because it looked like Frank Beezer actually hit the outside wall coming off of turn number 1, and by the time he got unhooked from the wall, he wiggled getting off the wall and collected Pierre.
Well, back up front, battle for the lead once again. Here we go. Jason Galvin doing his best to fight off Tony Schoen. Tony Schoen on the outside this time. Almost exactly where Jason Galvin was able to take advantage of him, but looks like going through 1, Jason Galvin's going to be able to keep that going down into 2 here. And now flying down the back straightaway, Tony Schoen has Jake Wright in tow. Behind Jake Wright's Joe Branch. Joe Branch pulls out. He's going to go ahead and use Jason Galvin's lead. He's got a head full of steam. He's not going to do too much with it here just yet, as Jason Galvin is going to still have to fight side by side with Tony Schoen. He keeps getting great runs off the corner, but just not enough to completely pull out in front of him just yet. But maybe off 4, here's his best chance so far. And big wreck coming out of 4. A couple of drivers involved. It looks like Brandon Limpkeman.
Jack Bogan.
Jack Bogan's involved.
I don't think Jack was the main guy in that incident there. Brandon Linkman's involved. I do believe he was in that pile up there.
Yeah, gotta see who that blue and white car there that
was the start of it. I believe there was like a 4-wide situation. Oh, Dan Guerin actually really got tight off of turn number 4.
Well, that's
happened. Yep.
I know this is not the onboard shot Jack Bogan wanted to have right away, but he's probably going to be the guy to ride along. Okay, so start here with Dan Guerin. Yeah, see him. Looks like he just gets really tight in the aero wash. It ends up hitting the wall. He gets tagged from behind during all that. It's a tough break for Dan Guerin very early on in the race. If we can ride along here with Jack Bogan here for the iRace for Gage Indianapolis 250 car, he kind of unfortunate here to start things off with. You'll see him coming through 4, and you'll see him have to take evasive action. And
got through it fine, but
almost was able to find a way through it. And then as he does, the back end breaks off the car, and he ends up sliding right into that attenuator right there at the edge of pit road. So unfortunate break, but we are under caution for the first caution today. And with that, we're going to take a quick break. Well, unfortunately, the first wreck of the day here, at least caution-causing wreck of the day, took out a couple of names like Brandon Limpkeman, Dan Guerin, Jack Bogan, Frank Beezer was all. Well, I think Frank Beezer might have involved there on the lap 1 incident, but definitely a tough break early on for a couple of guys. But on top of the leaderboard right now, a guy that's fighting hard up front, started in second, already up to lead, Jason Galvin, Tony Schuin in second, Jake Wright in third, Joe Branch in fourth, and Ryan Otis is your top 5 right now. So they are on the back straightaway. The lights are off on the pace car. We're just ready for the pace car to pull off here in a minute and get this race back underway. Real quick, I want to go ahead and ride on board with Mitchell Moeller here real quick. I want to make sure we give him a mention for the Blue Bio onboard camera. He, of course, sponsored by the Blue Bio Racing folks here today, the West driver, and hoping for a good run right now, running about mid-pack very early on in this race. Plenty of time to try to get up to the front. So, cars are now coming out of 3. In the short chute is the pace car, Jason Galvin, here just ready for that pace car to pull off, and we'll get back to racing here in just a minute. And I'm going to be looking for Tony Schuin here to try to make a really good run on Jason Galvin, almost how Jason Galvin had a really good start of the race just a minute ago. So here we come. Once we cross the line, it will be lap 7, and we are back to green flag racing at Indianapolis.
Always got to watch the restarts here at Indy, but so far so good here coming on this first restart of the race.
And Jason got a big start over top of Tony Schuin, but it almost seems like we talked about a couple of times with the big drafts that we see at some of the plate tracks, at NASCAR plate tracks, that you almost don't want to have too big of a lead. That's just going to maybe let the guys back behind you get a really good run, and you're already seeing Tony Schuin closing that gap up really quick. He's bringing along the likes of Jake Wright, Joe Branch back there also. The race is tightening up for up front.
Yeah, most definitely. You got top 5 cars, single file at the moment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'll see who's going to shoot for the race lead. Looks like Galvin's out front in front of Show and going to go up to the high side to pick up Jake Wright. Is that Joe Branch coming towards the inside of Jake Wright? Look, maybe possibly looking for more down in turn number 1.
Joe Branch showing a lot of muscle early on. He did in the first couple laps before the caution. He is here again working lap 8 as we're starting to click off these laps, even with the caution there. And, of course, some of these guys in the back might want to see a few more caution laps. They can bring fuel strategy into play later on in this race, but not right now. Right now, what you're looking at is plenty of muscle up front with Jason Galvin being able to hold his own up there with the likes of Tony Schuin. Just to check in, that you kind of got a 6-car pack here that's kind of breaking away. Got a car back there trying to make it increase that a little bit more, but Andrew Kinsella showing a little bit of muscle back there as well. He's been able to suck right back up to the back of this pack here with Ryan Otis fighting between them two for 5th and 6th positions there. Almost too wide on back for a second there, and they go back to being single file.
I did say that. Oh, we got a caution flag up
Yellow
on the speedway. Trying to look for the yellow at the moment. It's Moeller. Oh, and Vincent Blumenthal. This is coming out of turn number 1. This is where most of the incidents have been happening today. This is actually the second incident in turn number 1 today, and the first caution for turn number 1. And it looks like Mitchell Moeller was the cause of the incident, getting loose.
Yeah, and unfortunate there was Mark Workman making a contact and getting kind of helicoptered around when Vincent Blumenthal ended up hitting him, but not the day that Mitchell Moeller wanted. Did he have a little contact there to start that, though? I think we just saw from
a little. Believe it or not, I just trying to look at all these camera angles here. There was actually a little net code between Moeller and Paulson. That's James Paulson on his inside. There was a little contact there, but the cars didn't really touch each other. So that kind of tells me a little bit of a net code between the two.
Well, that's if you're going to have netcode, that's going to be a real bad place for it to happen. At least in my own personal
Definitely.
testing, I found that turn 1 here today, the car just gets really super light, and I think that might have been what had happened here again. So unfortunately, of course, Mitchell Moeller involved in this wreck, Vincent Blumenthal involved, and also Bart Workman involved in a big way in this accident here. So unfortunate for those guys is plenty of hard contact to go around between those gentlemen, and might see some days ending early here. Keep in mind, in this series, there are no fast repairs. So if your car gets damaged in a significant way, your day is very well done.
Yeah, the best thing you could do is try to take care of your stuff. And so far, for the most part, everybody is. Just a couple incidents here. Pit road is open this time by. I don't believe we will see any takers for the front runners. If anybody's going to come down pit road, it'll be the drivers in the back of the pack.
We're even going pretty deep in the pack before we start seeing any takers. Not sure who the first guy is that took the opportunity of the pit road.
Johnson.
Okay, so Jack Johnson. But that's one thing we were kind of noting there in the pre-race show. If you're just joining us, there could be a point where you start seeing a little bit more pit strategy come into play, and maybe a couple of people trying to be a little bit on the hopeful side as far as cautions falling when they do, and that kind of thing. But one thing I do think for sure that we're going to see here today, Tanner, we're already seeing it. I think we're going to be seeing some pretty close battles up front all day long.
Yeah, that's the way it's looking, and that's actually a pretty cool thing to watch, because I love watching battles for the race lead like that, especially in these cars, because Jason Galvin, Tony Schoen, Jake Wright, Joe Branch, especially Joe Branch, who's showing the muscle up there to try to make passes out there on the racetrack. Andrew Kinsella, you mentioned, was showing some muscle earlier in the stages here, so those guys are really trying to dice up, but the biggest thing is that these drivers are giving each other a lot of room to do them kind of maneuvers, so it's really fun to watch.
Well, now cars are on the backstretch. We still have the lights on the pace car, so we're going to go around here at least one more time. Hey, we're a little bit more than 1/10 of the way through this race, so we only got 9/10 of the way to go.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get our green flag runs in here soon. It's just the early stages, trying to get our little caution bug out of the way here, as I like to call it, the caution bug. But so we'll see. And hey, I did say Jake Wright was one of my picks, but Kinsella, a sleeper pick. Watch him.
Now, despite the contact that he had, it just kind of goes to show just how tough these L79 cars can be sometimes. Mitchell Moeller, he's back on the track. He hasn't lost a lap. I'm going to be very interested to see what kind of speed he's going to have when they come back to green here. But yeah, so far it looks like his car might actually be driving straight.
You'd be surprised how much damage you can get repaired on pit road when you're under caution pace speed at a 2.5 mile track like Indy here today. You can get a lot of damage all fixed up and ready to go, and if you can stay in that draft, it can keep you up to speed. We do got a bunch of drivers on pit road at the moment, but they're just drivers who have been hanging on the back of the pack, like Rory Collins, George Anzaldo, Patrick Taylor, Travis Jegeliner, and Robert Bluen, all down pit road at the moment right now, just pretty much staying out of harm's way in the back of the pack. They understand it's a long way to go, so they're just riding at the moment.
And we realized for a couple of guys today, we did hear that might be the strategy to just kind of avoid the first couple lap craziness. But you know, these guys right now, we're starting to get to where we started the race with 35 guys, and we're starting to thin it out just a little bit. But before here in just a minute, see the cars about halfway down the backstretch, we are going back to green this next time by. So got Jason Galvin up front, and Tony Schoen back behind him. Jake Wright is going to restart here in third, and we'll see if the trend continues.
Yeah, the trend continues so far as the race leader Jason Galvin's is leading, but I think the trend will continue as far as battle for the race lead. Tony Schoen has shown that, and Jake Wright hasn't really attempted for a pass for the race lead. He's been just minding his P's and Q's up there in third spot, but Joe Branch is like, I'm going for it.
Well, we'll have to see what kind of muscle Joe Branch continues to show here. Pace car getting ready to pull off, and in fact, that That Mustang pace car, there goes the hard left off the racetrack. Jason Galvin waiting. He goes. He is away. We are back to green flag racing in Indianapolis once again. Jason Galvin getting a great lead, but this time around, Jake Wright's going to be the one to make an early move. He's going to go ahead and try to go to second here over Tony Schoen heading into one. Tony Schoen takes the wide line. He's able to carry a little bit of momentum, but Jake Wright does clear him. Jake Wright in second place. Tony Schoen not able to bring that car back down to the white line going through two. He's going to lose a little bit of ground to Joe Branch and Ryan Otis, but once again, we're seeing those same cars try to break away.
Jake Wright going for the race lead down in turn number 3, coming off turn number 3, and it looks like he will take the race lead away from Jason Galvin, but Jason Galvin looks like he wants to get back in that draft coming off turn number 4. He's going to try to go for it one more time, utilizing that draft off of 4. Doing a little side drafting as well. Coming to the line, it will be Galvin beating Jake Wright.
And there we go. Joe Branch now trying to follow along with Jason Galvin up front, but he's not able to carry the momentum through. Jason Galvin does clear Jake Wright. He's able to slide back up in front of him going into 2. Jake Wright, though, you know, you were mentioning how quiet it almost he seemed like. Well, not anymore. He is going for it every lap, every corner of every lap at this point, as he's got his nose just on the outside of Jason Galvin going into 3, but Jason Galvin able to use that white line. He's able to get down there and get through 3 and eventually 4 here better. But Jake Wright, this is where he's been shining, is off 4. He's been able to carry a lot of speed going down the front straightaway. And look at that. As soon as the leaders started battling up front and going side by side, we went from having a 5-car pack to a 10-car pack, as it really helped close the gap on everybody up front.
Well, that battle for the race lead is not going away between Wright and Galvin, and Wright is really utilizing that outside line. He's carrying some legs down the straightaways here, especially the back straightaway and the front straightaway. Jake Wright actually beat Galvin to the line last time by. This time by, we'll see what happens this time.
Now, one thing I do wonder about, the track temperature today is 117 degrees, and I don't care how wide you make these tires, 117-degree track temperature, how long is Jake Wright going to be able to hold that outside line there?
I don't know, but he's doing a pretty good job on that outside line. He is carrying some legs when he goes down the straightaways. Oh, my gosh. I mean, he loses a little momentum, obviously, in the middle of the corner, but by the time they hit them long straightaways, the front and back straightaway, he carries the legs. Now watch this right now of Jake Wright. He's carrying the legs. He's going side by side. He gets all that speed coming off the exit of the corner, going 190 miles an hour.
Now, I'm wondering, and tell me what you think on this. Right now, Tanner, Jake Wright, is he really, really pushing hard for the lead, or is he studying Jason Galvin possibly for later on in the race and where he can make a move on the last lap and where he can't?
Right now, since it's my opinion, I believe he's just studying Jason Galvin, because if he really wanted to go for the race lead and be really aggressive, he could have gone to the inside and forced Galvin to the high side. But every time, the last about 4 laps now, last 3-4 laps, Jake Wright has beaten Galvin to the race line. So maybe he's just testing the water, see how that outside line is going to do. So, and then he tucks right back in the middle of the corners, goes out to the wall. Jason Galvin pretty much lets him have that outside line. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, he's kind of right in the middle of the racetrack every time he gets on the straightaways.
Yeah, he really is. And as they continue to go side by side between Jason Galvin and Jake Wright for the race lead, and got Tony Schoen back there in 3rd position, just ready in case something happens, or if a window opens up for him. But man, I tell you what, the more these guys get going, the deeper this pack becomes, and the more cars end up catching up to this lead pack. We've now got 18 cars on your frame right there involved in this, all within about one corner of each other here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the iRace for Gauge 250. As the battle up front continues, let's take a moment real quick and let's run through some of those guys in the top 10, just because we know this battle for the lead isn't really going to calm down here anytime soon. So right now up front, of course, we talk about Jason Galvin and Jake Wright, but we can't forget about, okay, we'll go back to Jason. He's up one spot from where he started. His last lap was his fastest lap. Keep it on here for just a second. Let's see what kind of speed he runs for this lap. Only about 0.02 of a second slower, but he's still right there. Jake Wright running that outside line here for the last little bit. You can see the speed difference. He's actually been faster running that outside line at times than your leader, Jason Galvin. He's been able to carry a lot of speed going down the straightaways with that. Behind them in third position right now is Tony Schuin. Tony Schuin in that classic orange car. I've seen him running that a lot this season. He is up there, up front, challenging. He started on pole here for today. Don't let that -2 fool you, because he's only one mistake away from being right back in that race lead. Behind him, Joe Branch. Joe Branch showed some early muscle. It seems like the more that Jake Wright started to exert himself, the more Joe Branch has just been kind of like, okay, I'm just going to watch and see what happens. And then I think that's kind of the strategy that he's playing right now. Behind him, you'll find Andrew Kinsella. Andrew Kinsella, the guy that Tanner noted right at the beginning of the race that you're going to want to keep your eye on. So far, he's right. Andrew Kinsella up there fighting in the top 5, but he's got the likes of Ryan Otis right behind him. Ryan Otis down 2 positions from the race start, but those 2 positions are sitting right there in front of him. He might lose another one here in just a second, but Ryan Otis definitely on top of his game here today, just kind of riding and waiting. Underneath him is Big Joe Hasser. Big Joe is out there. He's one of our biggest movers here for today, up 8 positions from the race start. He has just been picking them off one by one as the race goes along, and he very well might be somebody you're going to have to keep your eye on toward the end of the race. Behind him, kind of the funkiest looking car out there here for today, Dylan McKenna. Dylan is right where he started this race. Lap time's pretty comparable to the rest of the front pack right there. And he is so far just running a good, clean, decent race and just being able to stay up front. Behind him, you'll find Brian Greenlee. Brian has been, or excuse me, Ron Hacker is there. We'll go to Ron in just a second. Okay, Ron is up 4 spots from the race start. Ron's another one of those guys who's kind of had a quiet day, just picking people off a little bit at a time. All right. So Brian Greenlee back behind him. Brian has been the victim of some bad luck at times here this year, and he is really looking to change that. And today just might be the day to try to do that. Running a 9th right there in the front pack and rounding out your top 10. While he is rounding out your top 10. So hopefully Brian is be able to keep that car up there here for today. So going back up front, Tanner, what have we been missing?
Just some battle back and forth. Jake Wright carries that speed as we've been previously documented in the last maybe about good 8 to 10 laps, using that outside lane. That's where he's really carrying the momentum and the legs. It's just Jason Galvin gets that is the momentum in the middle of the corners, and he does get the race lead. But Jake Wright still holds on to the outside lane, and it's pretty much a drag race to the line, as everybody else behind has just pretty much been just watching this league go back and forth. But you mentioned Big Joe Hazard. You watch that cat today, man. He's been making some moves out there on the racetrack, and if he continues to do that and no harm comes to him today, he will get a top 5 finish.
Hopefully that's at the beginnings of some sort of commentator curse. You're going to notice that these guys are coming up on the slow car. Pierre Daigle, Pierre up there trying to make up some, just trying to turn some laps after he was involved in an early race incident. But these guys are going to have to work around his slower vehicle. And one byproduct of that is it could stand to break up this lead pack just a little bit. I think all it really did is it made him go a little bit more nose to tail, at least until you get back there in about 16th, 17th position.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. Trying to see through the field here, any movers out there on the racetrack. There's one driver I'm kind of looking at. He's been making some moves, and he actually started back in 33rd. He's out there in 17th right now. Mark Omick. He's been making some pretty good moves out there right now. He's just riding by himself, but he's still staying in the thick of things on the draft.
You know, and Amick is it's a name I'm not familiar with, so he might be new to the series here. So, whenever you're new to a series, that you just gotta have one. You just want to have one of those nice, clean days. You know, just try to click off laps, get used to running around these guys. And right now, he's running right about the middle of the field, which is not bad for the first time in a series like this.
Not a first time, and that's actually learning a lot of experience. Kind of reminds me when I first started driving any kind of IndyCar series at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I didn't know what the heck I was doing until I got there on the racetrack and I understood what was all going on. It's just really hard to hold your position at times too, because the draft can really pull you around and get you tight. So you just got to really be careful out there. And so far, he's shown a lot of patience.
Well, while we were talking, Big Joe Hassert clicks off another one. He's around Ryan Otis.
Oh, yeah, I told you that cat's...
Oh, somebody down in the inside wall.
Who that?
That was hard contact. Oh, Brian Greenlee.
Oh, no, not Brian. He was actually having a great run in the top 10.
Something happened to him going into 3 here. We got the GSRC replay up, taking a look. It looks like just some sort of evasive action or something, and just right into that wall, right where there's that angle of that wall too. So that's gonna be a lot of damage to his car.
You wonder what I think may have happened to cause that little check up there. It looked like David Altman, and that Tutwiler. It looks like David Altman made a little bit of a mistake. He thought he was going to make contact with Tutwiler, so he took a little bit of abrasive action as far as early braking is concerned, and that messed up Brian Greenlee just a little bit. Yeah, actually, it definitely messed him up.
Yeah, you can see from that onboard shot just a second ago, that car was not driving straight, as he is just now being able to make his way to pit road. So up front, things, you see the field go by. They were getting a little squirrely there for a minute. Of course, as soon as you go to them, they try to calm down just a little bit, but I have a feeling that's going to pick back up here as Joe Hassert continues to look for more positions. He is now up to 5th and getting around Andrew Kinsella. So Big Joe Hassert continues to be on the move here for today. He is the fastest car on the racetrack by 0.2 of a second.
Woo, ever so fast, man. But I tell you what, you smelling that there, Adam? You smelling that? Because I'm smelling some green flake pit stops could be brewing up soon if this continues to stay green.
Well, you figure they might have been able to buy themselves a couple of laps with the cautions that we've had, but you're going to be having to look for those pit stops. I'm going to guess somewhere between lap 35 and lap 40.
Absolutely.
Lap 35 is what we are figuring they could go on just completely green flags. So you're right, those pit stops are going to be coming up here pretty quick, and it could get interesting if all these guys are still running side by side with each other.
Yeah, and the more you're in the gas here, and I touched up on very own Samuel Ryman's notes, the more you're in the gas here, the more you're burning up that fuel. So yeah, it may buy you a couple laps, but you gotta remember, you're almost flat-foot in this joint. So you're burning up a lot of gas, and that gas can get sucked down pretty quickly.
Well, let's go ahead and ride along here with Joe Pranch real quick in that Apex Info Tech Elite Series onboard camera. Get a look at what he's seeing toward the front part of this field. And yeah, they always used to say that there was a certain old school NASCAR driver that could see the air. And if you think that if Joe Branch himself could see the air, what would he see right now? Well, probably be a lot of turbulence, because he's in some pretty turbulent air, but he's also with a lot of quick guys up there in Apex Indy Elite Series onboard camera for today. So good looking up front once again, Jason Galvin having to fight off the likes of Jake Wright. I'm telling you, if these guys can they keep this up? But don't look now. Guess who is behind Jason Galvin?
Yeah, I told you to watch that cat right there. Actually, he's known as the Arctic Cat, as it says, and he's coming, man. Watch him. Here he comes. Is he going to make a 3 wide? Oh, that'll be exciting. He is going to try to make a 3 wide.
He's going to
split him through the middle, and he's going to lead this lap. Big Joe Hassert leads a lap in Indianapolis. What a move.
Joe Hassert making that nickname Big Joe definitely shine through. You got to think those guys at Arctic Cat right now, would He might need a free snowmobile, guys, by the time this thing is done. And I'm not talking about the snow. I'm talking about driving through all the confetti in Victory Lane if he's able to pull this thing off.
I tell you what, now he's able to pull the Jake Wright moves, because right now he can carry the legs as Jake Wright's been doing on the straightaways right now. Big Joe can do it, man. He is on a roll. Hopefully we don't curse him. Oh, my gosh, that was an awesome move. That was really exciting.
But right now, you see that he was able to get the lead with that power move, and he's still stuck right there with Jason Galvin. It's almost like these cars that once they get into completely clean air on the nose, they have a little bit of trouble with it as far as being able to pull away. That draft is really going to be key here today, even if it is turbulent air.
Yeah, definitely, and the draft can be scary here too, because if you're behind somebody straight and you're just sticking in the throttle, you're gonna push tight in the exit of the corner. And I believe turn 1 is the worst corner out of all 4 corners in my experience and opinion. And your opinion may vary there, Adam, and of course our director too, Joe. But I tell you what, these guys are using the draft really well today. That's for sure.
Yeah, you see Ryan Otis there trying to make some moves too now. Jake Wright falling back just a little bit. And if my math is correct, and as anybody that really knows me will tell you, it's most likely not. I'm thinking right now this is about where we get into the pit window where you can make the race on one more pit stop. It's pretty key, and I think it all becomes now managing that second pit stop and how much fuel you have to put in the car to finish this race. So look for pit stops here any lap now to start, and these guys are racing side by side up front and might have to manage pit stops here at Indy.
Oh yeah, definitely. And sometimes if you're riding in the draft, you can probably get off the throttle a little bit to save a little gas too there, Adam. So that's one good strategy to use, because I know on the restrictor plate side of the NASCAR portion, if you're in the draft, you can run about half throttle and save a little gas.
Well, as we saw at last year's Indy 500, keeping your foot out of the throttle could really win you a race here at Indianapolis. So Jason Galvin still somehow holding up front, at least visually, but at the line, Big Joe Hassard keeps getting him. That difference at the line the last time by was 7 thousandths of a second with Big Joe Hassard over top of Jason Galvin.
Man, it's you know, when we were talking about photo finishes or close finishes earlier during the pre-race show, I tell you what, the way these guys are racing for the race lead, especially what we've seen Jake Wright been doing, and now Big Joe, we're setting up for a photo finish, and I'm not making that up either.
And here we go. Big Joe Hassard's in. Jake Wright is following him in, so he's got a little bit of company. They get the cars woed down. I think they hit that pit road speed limit of 60 miles an hour right on target. There was a little bit of chatter right before they came in. I think Joe Hassard announced to the field, and I got to think, though, that Joe was probably using up the most amount of fuel out of everybody out there, because I don't think he was going half throttle even in the draft. And I've got to think, I think these might have been the two cars that used up the most, maybe because Jake Wright running that outside line quite a bit. I don't think he had a lot of, I think he was using up more with more air on his nose. But look who's making a move up front. Ryan Otis trying to make sure he can get a bonus point for leading a lap here this time around. The question is will Jason Galvin let him? These guys are fighting for the championship right now. Yeah. See who gets it at the line. And Ryan Otis gets his championship point by 4 thousandths of a second.
Yeah, but I'm sure we're going to be doing green flag pit stops soon, though. That's for sure. We're kind of looking towards that window.
Well, these guys now, you got to think, when is the rest of this pack going to come in? Big Joe Hassard and Jake Wright are out there. They are running together. So, when these guys start coming in, we'll have to see where they ultimately shake out. But you can bet that these guys will be coming in probably, I'm going to guess, at least a halfway decent-sized group the next time we see some cars come down pit road. As they're going to go another lap here, Ryan Otis can make another strong move for the lead. But we are going to go another lap around Indianapolis here as we're going to go ahead and start working lap 36 around the speedway. Ryan Otis takes the lead, sole possession of the lead, going into one.
Jake Wright and Big Joe, as documented, hit pit road, but another driver that actually hit pit road was our very own Samuel Reinman, and that's the only 3 cars that were on the lead lap that have hit pit road.
I'm just waiting to see what kind of lap times that Joe Hassard and Jake Wright are going to start running here, because you see on your screen right there, Jason Galvin and Ryan Otis the last time around were about 48.7s, and Joe Hassard and Jake Wright this last time by, granted, keep in mind, these are a little bit momentum-based cars, so it does take them a little bit longer to get up to speed, 49.3 and 49.4 as you see right there. So the longer that those guys take to come in, the more ground that they are going to lose here, at least at the start. So waiting to see, will they come in this next time by? Is they're working lap 37. Ryan Otis has the lead going down the back straightaway. Jason Galvin, he's going to take a look going into 3. You got Joe Branch back there and Tony Schuin as well. Hadn't heard a little bit from Tony Schuin here the last couple of minutes, when it seemed like once Big Joe Hassard got up there, things kind of calmed down for a little bit for Tony Schuin. But he's right back up there in the mix along with Andrew Kinsella and that's Chris Stouffer back there with Andrew Kinsella. Haven't talked much about him today. We're going to go ahead and go around for lap 38 for your front runners.
Yeah, Chris Stouffer is coming from the 20th position.
Oh, look at that.
Hello.
Joe Branch with a surprise 3-wide move going into 1. Joe Branch is saying, I want a little bit of this action. He's going to hedge out Ryan Otis. Ryan Otis does get a little bit more momentum here on the outside lane. Can Joe Branch get himself a bonus point here for leading the lap?
Man, our very own, I scared Richard one time. And they're 3 wide again.
Oh, they're 3 wide with the lap traffic coming up right in front of them. Is anybody getting back out? And actually, it's Joe Branch being the one on that one to decide that discretion was the better part of valor.
Oh boy, that was interesting there. Oh wow.
I'm not sure who that car is. Let me go take a look here real quick.
That would be one of the wrecked cars of Mitch Moeller. That's Moeller right there.
Okay, so that's Mitch Moeller. We can ride along Mitch Moeller here real quick. That Blue Bayou car, onboard camera here real quick. Get a good glimpse of everybody trying to get around him. You can see the speed difference right now. Of course, Mitch was unfortunately involved in that accident just about 30 laps or so ago. But here we go. Jason Galvin has just announced that he is coming down pit road this time by. We'll see who follows him here.
Oh yeah, this is going to be another one of the money stops tonight. So there should be coming down pit road. Is Otis going to be one of them? I'm getting on the radio. So right now it's been about 39 laps, including caution flags, since they last visited pit road. Actually, they never even visited pit road. I saw it.
Yeah, about half of your front runners ended up coming in here. Looks like we got Jason Galvin, of course, in. I see
Dustin Wardlow, Chris Stouffer, Dylan McKenna, Chris Lalani, James Paulson, all down pit road. And the drivers that have stayed out, Joe Branch, Ryan Otis, Andrew Kinsella, David Altman, Tony Schuin, and Ed Tutwiler. But I think they're getting on the radio this time by to come down pit road. And Galvin misses pit stop.
Oh, that's going to be
Don't beat yourself on pit road.
And Joe Branch is going to be coming in here this time by. Waiting on him.
I would assume Ryan Otis and Kinsella are going to hit pit road this time by. Getting around lap traffic.
Oh, there's got a car losing it back behind him.
Caution is out.
Tony Schuin's involved. Frank Beezer. It was Frank Beezer lost back end of his car coming out of 4.
Tell you what, they split. Oh my gosh, that was a hard lick. Beezer, they were splitting Beezer because Beezer was in the middle of the racetrack there with the wrecked car, and leaders were splitting them as the leaders were pitting. And Frank Beezer just went around, hit the inside wall hard, collected Schuin. Oh man. Oh, we just seen another flip at Indy.
Is the leaders were having to split him with the pit road, and I've got to think that Tony Schuin probably didn't even see him coming. I mean, that was he saw him cross his front end, and then from there he didn't really was able to see much. As we're going to ride along with Tony Schuin here, you'll see the cars on the bottom lane break off, go for pit road. You see Frank Beezer lose the back end, come across, and then boom, that was all she wrote. And that's Tony Schiavone was having himself a really good day today, and unfortunately, it's not to be.
Oh, man. I tell you what, holy cow, that was just some terrible luck right there. But I believe Moeller may get a free pass here, as being the first car one lap down. Here comes the race leaders down pit road.
We're waiting to see how things shake up. And I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and we'll take a break here on GSRC. When we come back, we'll see what ended up happening. Where did everybody shake out after the pit stops and the yellow flag in the middle of the cycle? All right, welcome back, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. If you're just joining us, we just had a caution come out in the middle of green flag pit stops, and if you know anything about racing, you know what that can do to your running order. So up front, you're going to find Joe Branch in the lead of this race. David Altman running in second. Jason Galvin is probably the biggest beneficiary of that caution because he missed his pit stall, had to back up a little bit. He is going to be able to come back out in third position. He's going to have Wardlow behind him. Jake Wright's up there in fifth. Big Joe Hassert in sixth. McKenna in seventh position. Chris Stouffer in eighth. Laniti in ninth. Haven't talked much about Laniti today. Ron Hacker in 10th position. And you have to go back to 14th position to find Ryan Otis, who is up there in the lead when the caution came out. Andrew Kinsella back there, very hard charger today, was in 16th position. So this is getting ready to get very interesting here because you're going to have a couple of fast cars that are going to be trying to make moves. As the pace car pulls off, we are going ready to go back. Grayson at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Joe Branch is on the pedal, and that Apex Indy Elite Series race car is away.
Yeah, Jason Galvin had a nice restart, better restart than what David Altman did. So Galvin's going to take advantage of that, take second place, and now he's going to try to hunt down Joe Branch. These guys have been up towards the front all race long. We do got some new players up there like Altman and Wardlow. Oh, battle for the race lead. Here goes Galvin. Galvin wants it. He's going down the back straightaway and looks like he will take it entering turn number 3.
You know, Jason Galvin, he hasn't been able, understandably with the draft, to been able to pull away with any kind of lead, but he has been able to be up there in first or second position almost this entire race, and usually if he's in second, he's side by side with the person fighting for the lead. As you see, things get a little bit squirrely, but Joe Branch isn't going to go quietly into the night. He's going to go ahead and take a look on the inside of 1 on Jason Galvin.
Yeah, Joe Branch now in the Galvin part of the racetrack here. Actually, he does take advantage. Jason Galvin there takes the race lead. Let's see what's going to happen down this back straightaway. I bet Galvin is going to come down towards the inside and try to take it away once again. Yes, he will. So here comes Galvin. I do believe Galvin's going to be the one to try to beat today because everybody else has been trying to beat him, and they beat him to the line. It's just a matter of shaking him out of that top 5, but that ain't going to happen anytime soon.
Well, right now, unlike a little while ago when we had a big almost 20-car pack fighting for the lead, right now you got 8 cars up there in the front, and you got a little separation going back to about 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then you got another third pack back there. That third pack is led by Ryan Otis, who's having to hold off Mark Luck right now, as he is actually just struggling to try to find that speed that he had earlier and be able to make some moves and get back up front. And he's got Andrew Kinsella back there as well. These are going to be 2 guys to keep an eye on to see what they're able to do in order to get back up front here as the rest of this race goes along, because they do have an uphill climb. So back up front, Jason Galvin still running in the lead. He's got Joe Branch behind him and David Altman now doing his best to make himself known. How about David? Started 19th on the day, and he is already up to 3rd position.
David,
don't look now. Guess who just took over 4th?
Yeah, Big Joe. Big Joe and Jake Ray may be in 5th, but those 2 cats, don't count those guys out. I tell you what, David and Dustin have been running with each other all race long. Oh, what happened to Dustin there? Oh, Dustin's fine. He's back there in the 7th spot, but he was running up there in the top 5, though.
Yeah, I think he just kind of got shuffled out a little bit by Joe Hassert and Jake Wright when they came through. As you got Joe Branch now taking a look on the outside of David, wow, all of a sudden tongue twisted. I cannot talk all of a sudden. But I tell you one thing I can talk about, that's Joe Hassert already trying to make a move here on David Altman, as Joe Branch is also trying to take a look on Jason Galvin going down the front straightaway here. Is that going to be any kind of move that he's able to make stick? Well, Jason Galvin was able to retain the lead at the line, but he's going to lose the lead going into 1, at least momentarily, as Jason Galvin slips in behind him.
Big Joe working on Altman. He tried, but nothing produced there. Let's see what Big Joe can do down this back straightaway as that race for the battle for the race lead continues up towards the front between Branch and Galvin. Oh yeah, we're getting some. Man, these guys are carrying some good drafting speed down that back straightaway, and they're hugging that white line down there. Actually getting their left wheels below that white line. That's where you're going to find your most of the grip, whatever you're driving here at Indianapolis. Down the back straightaway, you got 5 cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, single file. Actually, there's more cars in the mix than that.
Here comes Big Joe Hassert. He's looking to make a move going into 3, but thinks better of it. Lifts a little bit, but then he's going to have to. Yeah, he's got Wardlow. Stouffer coming back now.
Altman pushed tight on the exit of the corner, lost a little momentum. Big Joe's going to take advantage of this. Oh, man, Altman pushed really bad. He pushed really bad off of turn number 1. Actually, that's the worst spot where you want to push. And oh, man, but here comes Big Joe. He wants 3rd. He's going to get 3rd. Got Big Joe to 3rd. Dylan McKenna up there trying to get behind for 4th spot behind Big Joe. He will. Then you got David Altman, Chris Stouffer. Now, whatever happened to the guy that was following Big Joe, Jake Wright? He's backed up into the 8th position.
Yeah, that kind of happened a little bit when Altman pushed wide right there. He was on the outside line, and it just kind of slowed up that entire outside line for just a second. But hey, guess what? We're riding lap 50 now. We are halfway through the iRace for Gauge 250 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway as we're looking up front at the likes of Jason Galvin and Joe Branch. Jason Galvin been up front almost the entirety of the 50 laps here so far today, with the exception of some pit stops just a little while ago that really kind of shook up how this field was shaping up to be. But still pretty intense fighting going on up front in this race here so far today. So with that, we're at halfway. Let's go ahead and run through everybody on the lead lap here real quick. Make sure we get everybody at least a little bit of airtime. Of course, starting with Jason Galvin, and Joe Branch up front. Those guys are getting plenty to talk about. I mean, Joe Branch, a lot going on there. Jason Galvin, a lot going on there. And then one of the biggest movers of the day, right behind them, is Big Joe Hassler. Big Joe started the day 15th position. He has been in the lead already, and he definitely has shown that he has one of the strongest cars here today. Dylan McKenna is a guy that I mentioned, he has probably the funkiest looking car out there here this afternoon. Well, he's up there. He's able to get up front thanks to the pit cycle there, and it's showing that he can hold his own up there in the front pack as well, as he's been able to make some moves. David Altman, I saw David push wide just a few minutes ago. That's really been the only trouble I think David Altman has had this entire race. He started 19th. He's up 14 spots. Technically, he's actually moved up, I think, more than what Big Joe Hassler has. So, David Altman having himself a pretty good day. Chris Stouffer's behind him. Chris Stouffer's up 14 positions as well. He started 20th on the afternoon. Hold on a second. All right, I was thinking I might have heard something about a wreck, but everything is okay. So, Chris Stouffer's up there. Dustin Wardlow behind him. Dustin's had himself, you're seeing a lot of guys up front that started in mid-pack just because of how things have shaken out, and they are starting to run away with it as well. Dustin Wardlow being one of those guys, up 11 positions from where he started. Behind him, though, is another guy that's been in the, well, I guess now you can say the top 10 pretty much all day long. That's Jake Wright. He might be down 5 positions. He kind of, I think, drifted to the back of this pack just to kind of bide his time a little bit, maybe save a little bit of fuel. It would not surprise me. We start seeing some fuel games being played as we go through the rest of the afternoon here. And then now we have to go all the way back, about 4.5 seconds back, and from there you'll find James Paulson. James Paulson's leading the second pack of cars, up 12 positions from where he started. He's back there with Ron Hacker just behind him. Ron started 14th on the day. Chris Lanini back there as well. Chris Lanini started 16th on the day, and these guys are all running pretty competitively right now. Samuel Raymond, good old GSRC buddy back there. But what you're seeing now is that 4-car pack right there is started to lose ground to the larger pack behind them, and that larger pack led by none other than Ryan Otis. Andrew Kinsella. They've swapped positions. Andrew Kinsella down 7 positions, but he was a front runner just a little while ago before the pit cycle, and now he is having to do everything he can to try to find his way back up to the front. Ryan Otis, another guy. Ryan's shown he can be very strong here today. He's just as fast as Jason Galvin if he can be able to get back up front there in some clean air. But running in dirty air right now in a position where he's going to have to start picking cars off in order to get back up in front of this pack. Scott Johnson's back there with them. Scott's had a pretty quiet day. Haven't talked too much about Scott, but he's up 11 positions from where he started the afternoon. Behind him, you'll find, a second ago, got to talk about Jorge Anzaldo, who actually now thinks in front of him. He started 30th on the day, up 15 positions. He's just been kind of biding his time, running a good, clean race out of Jorge Anzaldo. Or, excuse me, George Anzaldo. I forget. George Anzaldo. Don't hate me, George. All right, on that one. All right, so both those guys back there running pretty quiet days. Ed Tutwiler, Ed I think was had a minor part in a small incident earlier on, but he's been able to recover now. He is exactly where he started for the day, but he's been clean since then. Right now, running in 17th position. 18th position is going to run to Mark Amok. Mark, he had a little thing going for him for a little while there, and then the pit cycle happened, and he kind of fell back a little bit, but either way, way. He is up 15 positions from where he started, so great run out of Mark here this afternoon. Rory Collins is running in 19th position. Rory's up 6 spots in that baby blue Lotus 79 machine there. And then behind him, you'll have Travis Jagerliner. Travis also had a small bit in an accident a little while ago. He lost a few positions because of it, but he is maintaining on the lead lap here so far this afternoon and up 15 spots from the beginning of the race. Now, one guy that had some hard contact early on is Robert Blue, and Robert, though, is still on the lead lap, 21st position, and still up 5 spots from where he started. Patrick Taylor is behind him. Patrick Taylor in 22nd position. He's up 10 spots, and that rounds out your cars on the lead lap.
Tell you what, man, it's been getting dicey and ever so close and ever so fast up towards the front. Dylan McKenna up there in the 3rd spot. Thought about going for challenge for the 2nd place. Nothing really produced for Dylan there, but Big Joe Hazard remains in the 4th spot. David Altman trying to get after Big Joe down there, entering turn number 3. So these guys have been really swapping positions back and forth, and mainly for that race lead has been between Branch and Galvin. But McKenna is sitting right in the thick of things, waiting to utilize to take advantage of someone's mistake. Speaking of mistake, it looked like a little momentum was lost. Here comes Big Joe Hazard coming off turn number 4, the huge run, taking about 3rd spot away, and maybe looking for more.
Yeah, it almost looked like the snake there didn't exactly work as intended and actually cost quite a bit of momentum as that really kind of jumbled things up there in that lead pack. But even then, that lead pack still continuing to maintain the gap on the 2nd pack, even though we'll have to see what the 2nd pack does now that it's back to being one big pack. We'll see if they're able to gain any ground here, but Jason Galvin just continues to be in control. It's like if you can get around him, you're only around him for a couple seconds, and then he's right back by.
Yeah, and that's due to the long straightaways and the draft that provides here on iRacing here, so these guys are able to take advantage of one another to go for the race lead down these long straightaways to really take advantage of it. They really don't do much in the middle of the corner. They kind of settle down in the middle of the corner. They don't do too much there. But once they get to that backstretch and they can get into that draft, goodbye. Slingshot pass to your opponent. Competition.
Co-opetition?
Yeah.
Borrowing words from old DW there, huh?
Exactly.
All right, well, there it is again. Jason Galvin may be sitting in 2nd for a moment, but he's right back going for the lead in 3rd position. But look at old Dylan McKenna there. I'm just going to start calling that the funky machine. I'm not sure what the paint scheme is. I might have to take a closer look at it later, but we're going to call it the funky machine for right now. He's going to go ahead and try to make a bid for 2nd here, right underneath the rear wing of Jason Galvin going down the front straightaway.
Man, he really had to check up there to really kind of be patient there, because that outside lane actually carried a little more momentum than the guys on the inside like Galvin and McKenna. McKenna doing everything he can. Here comes Stover. Stover up the highest he's been all race long under the green flag conditions, coming from the 20th spot. He's up here challenging.
Okay, I have just been told, and I swear this is complete coincidence, I've been calling it the funkiest machine out there. I guess it is Ken and the Funky Bunch on that machine. Ah, okay, I like that. So it was a play on an old band. So, all right. So now, but he's still up there. He's still running strong, trying to take whatever draft he can from Jason Galvin. And don't forget, you've got Chris Stouffer. Chris Stouffer is that other car on the outside of Dylan McKenna that is up there fighting as well. And he's been able to carry quite a bit of momentum going around here the last couple of laps. Just not quite enough to really make a play here. But Dylan McKenna, man, Joe Branch is really have to fight to hold him off right now. Dylan McKenna is actually going to go ahead and take a look maybe for the lead here going into 3.
Yeah, and this will be the first time McKenna would take the race lead today. Let's see what McKenna, and he will take the race lead. Can he hold the race lead to the start-finish line? That is the question.
Slides right up in front of Jason Galvin, almost takes the tip of his nose cone off. But everybody's able to get away from that. But he's going to be able to take the lead here, maybe at the stripe. But here comes Jason Galvin. Who gets the lead?
Galvin. Galvin got him.
0.003 of a second. Do not be surprised if here in 39 laps, if your margin of victory is 0.003 of a second with the way this race is going. It is shaping up to be something pretty exciting out there here for today.
Who knows? Maybe 1,000th of a second.
Oh, tough break for Andrew Kinsella. He just mentioned that he's got an emergency. He's got to pull off. It sounds like at least the competitive side of his night is done, if not his night. So tough break for one of the early contenders of this race. But back up front, Jason Galvin now able to take sole possession back of first. It looked like for a little bit, though, that they might try to break away between the two of them. That is not to be. Joe Hassert is now going to make his presence known once again, and Joe Branch is tucking tail right behind him.
And to get back on the topic of Andrew Kinsella there, he just backed into the top 10. So Kinsella was having a great night. Very unfortunate for Kinsella. Hopefully everything is okay on his end.
Well, the one of the...
Oh, I thought Big Joe may have stuck it in the middle there, but he thought better of it. He's done it before.
Well, and we mentioned a little while ago that second pack catching up to the third pack catching up to the second pack, and of course Andrew Kinsella and Ryan Otis had taken control of that larger pack, working their way through all that second pack group of vehicles there.
Oh man, I tell you what, Big Joe man thought about going through the middle, but I tell you what, the hole was not big enough. That got scary there. That scared Jason Galvin towards the inside a little bit to make it even a bigger hole.
Getting busy again.
Oh yeah, Big Joe knows how to utilize this draft, and he's done it once already and made it work. So right now he's trying to carry. And here he goes towards the inside, 3 wide down the back straightaway of Indy. Are they going to make it down to turn 3? Are they going to give each other room? We'll see down here. Big Joe uses it and he takes advantage. Big Joe has it out front at Indy.
Not only does he have it, but he was able to carry a lot of momentum when those guys had to back out a little bit. So he might be able to actually retain this lead going down the front straightaway. But we might have a round 2 here. No, Jason Galvin thinks better of it than trying to go 3 wide. No, he's actually going to go and take a look here on the inside. Big Joe Hassert does get the lead at the line, but not able to hold on to it going into 1. Jason Galvin takes it back. And Big Joe Hassert might actually lose second here to Dylan McKenna.
All right, folks, we were just talking about margin of victory. Let me recorrect that. We might see a 3 wide of 1,000th of a second. That way this is shaping up.
Who knows? But this is definitely a highly competitive race where draft is playing a huge role with these guys right now. So now we're also entering into the part of the race where if you pit now, you could potentially make it the rest of the way.
What was the trend here? 36 laps? Yeah, you are correct, sir, because right now we got 35 to go. 3 cautions in this race for 9 laps. Yeah, you can, if you pit right here, you can pretty much make it the rest of the way. Now, speaking of making it the rest of the way, where is our very own Samuel Ryman? He actually just pitted. So he might be onto something.
So yeah, we'll have to see what happens here, but short pitting could be a strategy to maybe try to get you a few positions, and then we'll have to see if it plays out here for our buddy Sam Ryman. But right now that lead group is going to gobble them up here before too long, as they are now on the same straightaway. Dylan McKenna is actually blinking a little bit back there, but as he does, they're going 3 wide for the lead. David Altman, Jason Galvin, and Big Joe Hassert going 3 wide for that top spot, and David Altman is going to be the one that goes out with his nose in front, but he's got Big Joe Hassert on the outside, fighting hard. See who gets it going down the back straightaway here.
Tell you what, I mean, it's between Big Joe and David Altman that have really have gone on gutsy moves to take it 3 wide. Those are the only 2 drivers I really have seen have done it so far to make it 3 wide. Wow, what a power move by Galvin! Wow. Out of nowhere. Got like a cannon entering the corner. Now it's actually a 3 wide situation as well, so Galvin's going to be another one to make it 3
wide. And here we go again.
Yep. Boys, I don't know if this is going to be very wise, because you're coming up on lap traffic here, and we don't want to go 4 or 5 wide with the lap traffic here.
They're going to catch Mitchell Moeller here first. This will be the first vehicle that they catch. Mitchell is going to drive to the bottom of the back straightaway here and just kind of get out of the way of these guys, knowing that they've got a head full of steam and they are racing aggressive. The next car that they'll catch here will be Samuel Raymond. Samuel is right on the tail end of the lead lap after having pitted just a moment ago.
I know this isn't NASCAR and this is definitely not Martinsville, but if we were at Martinsville, I'd be calling these drivers a bunch of hot dogs. The way these guys have been going 3 wide on each other, it's been crazy. Tell you what, Big Joe has it, holding strong on that higher line. Altman up front in the 88. Let's see what Big Joe can do to the 88 of Altman. Coming down that back straightaway there, coming up on some lap traffic here. Actually, they're coming up on our very own semi-Ryman.
I think Jason Galvin and Big Joe Hassard just came up, and Bill McKenna, they're going to have pit stops this time by pit road, getting ready to become a busy place as they've realized they can go the rest of the way from here.
Yep. So here they come off of turn number 3. So pit road's going to be a very busy place. Now Adam, this is going to be the money pit stop. Don't speed on pit road. Don't overdrive that pit box. And I tell you what, Jason Galvin was one of those drivers that overdrove the pit box, and he just got lucky on that caution there. So hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake again.
And there was a couple of cars in that second pack that looked like they were getting a little squirrely there. I was worried we might see a repeat, but not quite yet. As right now we're going to follow here Big Joe Hassard, Jason Galvin, Dylan McKenna, Jake Wright coming down the spots. Big Joe Hassard, the first one to his box.
All right, just hopefully nobody overdrove their pit box there, because that's going to cost you a lot of time out there on the racetrack. Don't speed. Utilize your speed till you hit that exit pit road cone, and you're good to go. And just don't mess up the pathway to the get back on the racetrack, the pit roadway.
Well, now here's your lead pack now, being led by David Altman and Joe Branch right there up the front. And Chris Stouffer and Dustin Wardlow are the next 2 cars there. So we got a 4-car pack right at the top there. That 5th car that you see, that's Samuel Raymond, who is now a lap down. He kind of triggered this pit cycle here. I think it was the first car on the lead lap to come down. And then they all just kind of started following suit. But 4-car battle here for the top spot right now. And they're coming up on the car 44. That's Travis Jaegerliner they'll be having to get around here in just a moment.
Oh, yeah, you're going to be going around him, and I'm sure these drivers are going to be discussing with each other about pit stops soon. Actually, I thought Branch, oh my gosh, Branch, I thought he was going to come down pit road there. It looked like the way his car was pointed towards pit road, it definitely was, but not this time by.
Well, that's going to lead to another 2-wide situation there as they start to sort themselves out, and it looks like Altman is going to retake the lead here over Joe Branch. Now, 3rd place back there, that is Chris Stouffer.
Yeah, Stouffer's been in the mix of things all race long. I shouldn't say all race long, but at least the middle portion of the race here today. He's been up there, and this is the highest he's been in the 3rd spot. Maybe he can utilize and capture on more. It looks like he's going to gun for it right here, side by side with Altman. Down off of turn number 3, short shoot into the 4th turn. Staying in the draft of Joe Branch. Joe Branch is going to go to the high side to pick up Altman. Oh, use the line. Oh, the contact between the 2. Altman!
Big wreck on the front straightaway.
Oh!
And you got the second pack of cars coming back up here behind them. Is everybody going to get woed down and out of the way? It looks like they'll be able to get through cleanly.
Oh, yeah, that was some close quarters between the 2 drivers right there. There was definitely contact between Stouffer and Altman.
2 guys that were having just a fantastic run here for today. Unfortunately, not to be. We're going to ride along here on board with Altman, see what he saw.
Tell you what, man, Wardlow and the dwarscandy.com machine really went underneath them and actually made a little contact himself.
So now, once again, another caution in the middle of the pit cycle. Let's ride along board here with Wardlow, and you're going to see Altman catch a little air here. and Wardlow ended up with a little bit of wing damage on that one too. So 3 top runners coming away out of that with some form of damage. But once again, another caution, middle of the pit cycle. We are going to see this order shaken up once again here today. With I think the big winners are going to be the guys that have already come in, like Joe Hassert, Jason Calvin. But now your leaders, Joe Branch, Chris Stouffer, Dustin Wardlow, they are all coming down pit road.
Tell you what, yeah, you mentioned that Big Joe I think will be the race leader by the time we go green on this next restart here. But everybody up towards the front, probably with the exception of Big Joe, who was in 14th position at the time of the caution flag, will be the race leader. So everybody else coming down pit road for their final pit stop of the day.
And unfortunately, Dustin Wardlow is the machine there. It looks like he's missing a good chunk of his nose as well after that accident. So tough break for Dustin Wardlow, who had a really good run going. But now we'll see how things shake up for the rest of these guys. And keep in mind, too, on this one, you're probably going to see quite a few guys also take the wave around that had just fallen off the lead lap because of the pit cycle. I think it's going to be Travis Jägerliner, Samuel Raymond, Patrick Taylor, and Robert Bluen, I think, will be the cars that stay out in front of the leader and get the wave around here in a few minutes.
Yeah, more than likely going to get the wave around. So their pit strategies did not pay off, at least, especially for Samuel Ryman's part. But I tell you what, I believe Big Joe Hazard will be the race leader. This is going to be exciting, man.
I think that's going to go without saying here tonight with the way this is going, and you've got a lot of tough guys right up front to still be able to do something here. So I'm kind of anxious to see where this is going to go.
Well, one thing is for sure is that the aggression of the racing is going to really pick up now because I'm entering our closing stages here. We're going to get the green flag racing about 24 to 25 laps to go here. Actually, I take that back. If anything, we should see a 1 to go signal this time by, so about 25 laps to go should be green flag racing.
Long look down there through the almost a tunnel effect, what some drivers note, with all the grandstands on one side and grandstands on the other, and the pit road and everything else. A couple of cars coming down pit road, in fact. Let's see who they are. Make sure Pierre Daigle, who was running 4 laps down. Pierre was involved in one of the very first accidents for today, and Mitchell Moeller, another car that was involved in an early accident. Those were those 2 cars that you saw coming down pit road there. But definitely one of the craziest sights in racing is watching that 3 wide start for the Indy 500. They come screaming down the front straightaway like that, and definitely a sight to see. Now, lights are off on the pace car. We are going to come back to green here the next time by, and it will be 25 laps to go. Let's run through your top 10 now that everything is shaken out. Big Joe Hassert back in front of this race. Jason Galvin back in second, and Jake Wright back in third. So it's almost like, despite everything that's happened, it's almost with the guys that you have up there, it's like, hey, it's all come full circle. Dylan McKenna's staying up there. Chris Stouffer, Joe Branch, Dustin Wardlow, and we're a little bit wondering about what kind of wing damage Dustin Wardlow is going to have here at the start, so we're going to have to watch him. But Ryan Otis back up in the top 10, starting in 8th. George Zaldo, running a great run today up in the top 10 in 9th position. Got Scott Johnson right now running in 10th, so that's going to be your top 10 when we go back to green here in just a moment.
Yeah, and these drivers thought they would have butterflies at the start of the race. Tell you what, the anticipation on what's going to happen next has really set in the minds of these drivers. As we got the 1 to go signal, Big Joe's going to lead them. Jason Galvin, Jake Wright, these 3 drivers have been pretty much up towards front all day. Dylan McKenna, coming from that ace spot, has been up and down the leaderboard in the top 10, but he's up there and thick things in 4th. Here we go. It's Big Joe's restart.
Mustang pace car has pulled off. Joe Hassert leading down slowly. He punches it, though, right when the green flag comes out. He's going to get a good jump here on Jason Galvin and at least go into turn 1 unhindered. But as you know, you don't want to get too big of a lead because he probably will not be unhindered as they go into 3. In fact, actually not even going into 2. Jason Galvin, great look going into 2. Jake Wright's going to go ahead and take a peek underneath as well, but slip up behind him going into the back straightaway. As he does that, he gets a good run coming off 2 and almost gets to the back wing again of Big Joe Hassert. Joe Hassert coming back at Jason Galvin going into 3, as now it's a four-car horse race for the lead, as Dylan McKenna coming up there making his presence known.
Oh man, Wright got tight off of turn number 3 there. I think that was due to the draft, and I tell you what, that Dylan McKenna shot right past Wright. And here goes Jason Galvin underneath Big Joe once again.
Jason Galvin retaking the lead at the line and going into 1. Joe Hassert fighting back on the inside, but he's got to watch Dylan McKenna on the inside. Dylan having a fantastic run here today. Jake Wright not far behind him. Stouffer back there. And then, Branch, Wardlow, and Otis are your top 8.
Oh boy, this is getting dicey here, folks. I tell you what, it is getting dicey. Jake Wright's actually going to get passed by Stouffer here. That battle for the race lead still going on up there. I tell you what, McKenna really wants that second spot, and I don't know if Wright's in trouble or not, but he's going to have 2 guys that are going to pass him in 1 lap. I believe that's Joe Branch trying to get around Wright, but I don't think he's going to get around this time by.
And Jake just might be trying to get back in his groove here and back into it mentally after a little bit of a moment back a couple turns back. But everybody's back going straight here in the top 8 as you do have an 8-car breakaway once again for the lead, and it's pretty much all 8 names that we have seen quite a bit here so far today. And don't look now, but in the back of that pack is Ryan Otis, and we know that Ryan Otis has some speed. So if he can work his way up through there, it could very well make things interesting once again. But Jason Galvin still up front, and 2 wide behind him though is Big Joe Hassert and Dylan McKenna continue to go at it for second position.
Yeah, and McKenna hasn't decided to take a 3 wide yet or try something, but I'm sure he's in that popcorn spot if anything's going to happen to the top 2 drivers up here and really take advantage of it. Boy, oh boy, folks, this has just really turned out into some fantastic racing all race long. I think this is the most lead changes out of the entire season, and probably the most exciting races, really, because these long straightaways can really set up passing zones here. Jason Galvin, Big Joe have been battling back and forth so far, and you got McKinnon in 3rd. Stouffer is actually relaxing in 4th. It's just these guys are really trying to stretch their muscles right now.
And you got to keep in mind, some of the tracks that these guys will be coming up to here in just a matter of a couple of weeks. And this is good practice as far as this type of racing with these guys. I mean, looking at the schedule, I mean, you've got Gateway coming up here at the beginning of August, and then after that, we probably could see some drafting going on at Dover at the beginning of October, and then to round out the season in the final Triple Crown race of the season. This is the second leg. We've got to wait till November before we round out the Triple Crown in the season finale at Auto Club Speedway, which is probably going to be a lot like this with the drafting and everything else. Maybe even some bigger packs. Is Jason Galvin still leading the way here? It's just no one can separate themselves right now.
Nobody has actually gotten away from anybody as far as the race lead is concerned, and it's just been a battle back and forth today. It's like watching a Daytona Talladega race here, but except these drivers aren't using any kind of restrictor plates or anything like that. It's open wheel racing, and I always like calling this the Xfinity series, the Lionheart series. It's you're not going as fast as the DW12s, but you're going about 190 to 200 miles an hour, and it's actually great practice in these cars.
Well, either way, it is pack racing right now in the Lionheart Retro Series with the Lotus 79s. Do you think when they designed this car that pack racing was part of what they think these things might be doing?
Probably not, but I tell you what, if anybody in the real world would have thought of this, this is just absolute fun to watch. A lot of pack racing, back and forth racing. That's what I like to watch, is the back and forth racing, because you don't know who's going to win the race. It's like a flip of a coin of who's going to win, you know. And if you ask me who's going to win, and I look at stat sheets, it's like, well, I'm going to throw that out the window because it really doesn't matter. It's like watching a NASCAR Daytona Talladega race, pretty much.
Yeah, in fact, that last time by, Big Joe Hassert did have the lead over Jason Galvin by 6/1000ths of a second once again. So it's Dylan McKenna coming back, making himself known. These guys have been going at it since the restart and just tooth and nail back and forth. And now we're starting to see that little snake pattern going on. And as Joe Branch finally says, enough's enough, I need to do something, he's going to go ahead and take a good look on the inside. And Dylan McKenna for third position, rather, backs out of the gas just a little bit. In fact, actually slows up a couple of the guys back there. You start to see those three cars up front be able to hold their position.
Boy, oh boy, I tell you what, that clock is just getting louder. I mean, and these guys can hear it. And when that clock gets louder, that means we're getting there, our closing stages of that checkered flag. We're getting closer to that checkered flag. And Joe Branch, he knows that it's getting louder, so he's going to try to do everything he can to get a position here.
Well, Jason Galvin doing everything he can right now to work that draft, slow down what lanes he can. And one guy to look at, though, Ryan Otis, looks like he's gained about 2 positions here in the last couple laps, so he's trying to get back up there and do something as well. So this obviously a long way from being done, even with 17 laps to go here.
Yeah, definitely. And the next track for these drivers that's going to be upcoming live here on GSRC, the Global Sim Racing channel, is going to be at the Milwaukee Mile in these cars. And it's in my neck of the woods, so that's going to be another fun one to watch.
Yeah, I'm very, very disappointed to be missing that one with you, Tanner, because Milwaukee's one of my favorite tracks. I'll be in the Bahamas. I coach at a youth basketball camp down there. I'll be on blacktop and everything else for the week I'm down there working with kids, and it's for a great cause, and it's worth the trip. But you'll have Soup there with you, and if there's one guy that can appreciate the history of Milwaukee, it'll be Soup Zahn. So that'll be a good race, and maybe I'll watch it down there and check in with you guys.
I am a little jealous you're going to the Bahamas, though. That looks like a great vacation spot.
Hey, it's fun.
But up towards the front, Big Joe Hazard actually gets a pretty good commanding lead here down that backstretch. But here comes Galvin. And look at Big Joe towards the inside. Wants to throw a little block here, but too little too late. Got to give him the room if he's already down there. Jason Galvin on the bottom side to take the race lead over once again.
Woo, Joe Branch almost drifted up into Dylan McKenna, able to keep it off of him, though. But another guy that is up another position is Ryan Otis. Slowly but surely, he's just chipping away at these guys.
Yeah, Ryan Otis, I haven't seen him up there towards the front since the earlier stages of the race, and now he's back up towards here in the top 6. One more position, he'll crack the top 5. And Jake Wright's actually fallen back. He did fall back as low as 8th place. He's back up there in 7th, looking underneath Otis.
Lots of moving around back there. As they're coming up on a slower lap car, and as that happens, Dylan McKennan's taking a look on the inside.
Oh.
I think he let go of that one a little bit. I think he thought better of it.
That hurt Joe. That hurt Big Joe.
Oh, Joe, wheel-to-wheel contact. No, that could have been much worse than what it was. Everybody's able to keep going straight between him and Chris Stouffer, but that made my heart skip a beat right there. Is somehow or another they were able to get going again. And Joe Hassert, the only thing that he lost out of that was momentum. He did not lose his car, and we've all seen tonight that Joe Hassert can get that momentum back.
Tell you what, remember when they first started going 3 wide here early in the race? Our director caught that, and he said something, and I jumped out of my seat just a little bit because I had him cranked up, and it just reminded me of a time I scared.
Contact!
Contact! Accident!
Contact on the back straightaway.
Ooh. Yeah, no caution.
Mark Amok off the racing line.
I tell you what, yeah, and the reason why there's no caution, folks, is because it's off the racing surface, so iRacing does not...
there's a car in the wall right there. I think it kind of precipitated that.
That was the lap car.
Oh, car contact with Mark Amok there into the inside wall.
Oh, man, who made contact with the... Ed Tutwiler did. The rear wheel he made contact with. Ooh, that sent Tutwiler into the outside wall pretty hard too, man. Wow.
Oh, and whoever that blue car is.
Light blue car? Oh, yeah, just squeaked by. You're right.
Oh,
wow.
oh, we got more here on the back.
Uh-oh.
It was another blue car, George Anzaldo.
Oh, and he was having a good run, too, up there. Actually, I think at one point he cracked the top 10.
Looking at it, and it's almost like his car just got spontaneously wobbled coming out of 2 there in contact with the inside wall there.
Oh, man.
Could have been a lot worse for him, though.
You know, and I hate to say this, but I think there could have been a little net code involved, too, with that as far as the contact is concerned. But there was a wobble out of George Anzaldo coming off of turn number 2.
And I'm looking at George. Oh, wheel-to-wheel contact there.
Oh, no. And George,
it looked like he
George's in trouble again. He just crashed down pit road.
I was getting ready to say that that car was not driving straight, and I think it finally bit him, and now it's really not driving straight. But back up front, none of this has caused a caution, and guess who is back in the game? Getting the momentum back is Big Joe Hassert, fighting along the outside, surprise, surprise, with Jason Galvin.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Big Joe out front here beats Galvin to the line this time by. But there's some drafting help down towards that inside. Looks like Galvin is going to clear Big Joe on the exit of the corner. Yes, he will. But he will not wash out to the outside wall. Oh, this is getting dicey. I thought Galvin was going to come up in front of Joe, but he did not.
Oh, Joe Branch wanting to make a move back there. See him diving way to the inside. We're going to go 3 wide for second place here.
Woo!
Or third place, rather.
Look at that, Dustin Wardlow. And you questioned about that rear wing there, Adam, and I told you what, it told up.
His wing is completely fine. And if it wasn't, he doesn't care.
Tell you what, this is like the best way to describe this kind of racing, folks, especially if you're in one of these cockpits of these cars racing here at Indy. It's a 190-mile-an-hour chess match. You know, what move are you going to make, and someone's going to make a move on you, you know. That's what this is.
Dylan McKenna right underneath the rear wing of Jason Galvin. Once again, Joe Branch I think Joe Branch keeps testing the waters there. Like he wants to make something happen there. He knows his time is running short. Folks, we're almost inside 10 laps to go here. This race is going to be over before you know it. So I'm wondering if Joe Branch is just testing the waters.
Just testing the waters just a little bit to see what you can do. And you know you can go 3 wide and get a run on somebody, but is it going to be the wise move?
You're good. 3 wide going into 1 here for third position. Are they going to get out okay?
Yeah, so far they've been making it okay up towards the front here.
and I don't think that out of all that excitement right there, I don't think there was any net change in position, except Joe Branch actually loses a lot of momentum. He's going to fall back down the clutches. Ryan Otis has to wiggle around him.
Otis is like, time to go, and we're less than 10 laps to go here at Indy, but he had to back off entering turn number 3. But I tell you what, the top 8 cars are about 6/10 from each other from 1st to 8th. So it's pretty much a race between the top 8 drivers. If this remains green flag, everybody else is about 5 seconds, 6 seconds or more back.
Dylan McKenna just watching right now, just waiting for anybody to make a mistake. He just wants Jason Galvin to make a small mistake. He just wants Big Joe Hassert to make a small mistake. But so far, no mistakes to be had for any of those top 4 cars. That includes Dustin Wardlow up there. As Joe Branch lost a lot of momentum. He might have had to check up real big, but he is right back there going back for 3 wide for third position.
You know how these guys are going so close to each other? Holy cow, I tell you what, McKenna almost bumped the bumper there. Actually, there's really no bumper there, but almost bumped Big Joe Hassert. And
car in the wall.
That was McKenna. McKenna's in the wall. But actually, surprisingly, he's not going to lose as much momentum as I thought he would.
Yeah, but did it bend anything? That's always the question with these open wheel cars. Is he going to be able to hold that car down going into 1? in two
Oh, man,
here
I think
too.
he hit again.
Cars looks a little bit wobbly.
I don't know, but man, so far he looks pretty good. It may look a little wobbly, but he's just going to have to relax. Oh, 3 wide for the race lead. Joe Branch knows what to do. He is going for it down in turn number 3. He understands it's time to go with about 5 laps to go here. And he hits the grass area.
Just a little wide.
Yeah, he hit the grass. Man, imagine if that place was paved. They'd be dive-bombing it. Joe Branch going for it once again. 3 wide for the race lead down the front stretch of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Well, actually not 5 laps to go. Right now we got about 6 laps remaining here at Indy.
I did not realize we were racing at Daytona, going 3 wide for the race lead and 6 laps to go. These Lotus 79 cars are putting on a whale. We got a car around. McKenna's around.
McKenna's around, but no caution.
Did he avoid any contact at all? Oh, man. The back end looks like it just stepped out on him here. No, little contact with Hassert that caused the back end to step out, spun it around, hit the apron road. He catches that car and keeps it out of the wall.
I mean, at 185 miles an hour entering turn 2. I mean, come on.
I mean, we've already quoted DW once tonight. Have you ever?
Not in these cars, no. But I tell you what, that battle for the race lead between Branch and Galvin are heating up.
And don't look now, Chris Stouffer is up here trying to make his presence known.
Oh my gosh, 5 laps to go right now. There is a lap car ahead. Is he going to be the game changer here?
He's Pierre Daigle's already said he's going to be on the access road. He's making sure he's not getting involved in this battle. I would think that if we got a caution once we hit the 4 laps to go mark, I think that would be the race. So these guys now...
Caution's out on the speedway.
Oh!
I was just going to say...
I think it could very well be 5, but we could have a 1-lap shootout here.
I believe it is Dylan McKenna in turn number 3. He was in a 3-wide situation with drivers Scott Johnson and Ron Hacker.
That is tough way to end the day for Dylan McKenna after running up front, all that, and tough way to end the day for Ron Hacker, who had himself a quiet day, but a competitive day.
They had gone.
It's hard contact.
Before that caution came out, I was just about to say, tires are smoking, sheet metal's dragging, we're still racing.
Okay, so I think it's safe to say nobody's going to pit.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean,
so here's your top 10: Joe Branch, Jason Galvin, Big Joe Hassert, and Chris Stouffer are your top 4. They're almost side by side with each other coming to the line. Dustin Wardlow's been able to hold his own up there. Ryan Otis and Jake Wright, Scott Johnson, Paulson, and Lanini up there, and that is your top 10. Now the question is, do we have enough time to see the track clear and go back to green flag racing? I think we're going to have a 1-lap shootout, but we got to wait for the pace car to come around here to find out for sure.
This time by, I don't think the pace car lights are going to come off this time by. We are going to hit the 3 to go mark here, and the pace car lights are going to have to go out next time by to have a 1-lap shootout.
Of course, if Jason Galvin commenting on just how ridiculously fun this race has been, and I will say that it has been fun up here in the booth as well. 3 wide battles, just
ridiculously fun.
Yeah.
All right.
And could Joe Branch have stolen this race?
He was back there in about the 5th, 6th spot at one point while the drivers like Galvin and Big Joe were battling for that race lead, and he's made the move, and that 3-wide move that he made for the lead was probably the move of the race if this race is finished.
He had it just at the right time, and I just I really hope we get our one lap shootout here. I really do. And we're about to find out. We're going through 3 here now. We'll see if the lights go off on the pace car this time by.
Yeah, they're going to have to go off this time by. iRacing doesn't have any kind of green-white checkers. I wish they would someday, but although it's not it to be today.
Well, even then, it's IndyCar racing. You'd finish under caution anyway. So.
Yep. I keep forgetting about that.
Yeah. So but I mean that's also depending on it. Eventually, if it is ever implemented, it would be one of those things that I think that would be up to the session in the leagues to decide exactly how you wanted to handle that. But here is the moment of truth. See if the lights go off on the pace car.
Drum roll, please. Brr. Go. Let's see at to the line here. And yep. One lap shootout. Oh boy, folks! I hope you taking the time under this caution to go get your concession in your refrigerator or something, and back in your lazy boy recliner, because you're in for a one-lap shootout. And feel free to talk to us in the chat here on who you think is going to win. I got a pretty good mindset on who's going to win this race, but yeah, this is going to be a very fun finish. And there's no more cautions here on out. So
it's done. Like once we take the green flag, we are away, and whatever happens. So it can get very interesting very quickly. Do not forget, you got Joe Hassert sitting back there in 3rd position. He has been strong all night. He has shown so much power here for tonight to get up there. Jason Galvin, of course, has been up front, either running in 1st or 2nd, I think, the entirety of this race, with the exception of the pit cycle, and then the surprise with the gutsy move, going 3 wide to take the race lead right before this last caution came out. It's going to be Joe Branch. Now, I don't know about you, Tanner, but if I'm Joe Branch, I'm trying to keep the field behind me. I'm not trying to get a huge jump or anything like that, because if you get a huge jump, that jump is going to be gone by the time you get into turn 2.
I tell you what, if you're going to lose the lead, you better lose the lead on the back straightaway, and you better only lose 1 position. If Joe Branch can lose 1 position, and that's 2nd place, and whoever's out front, you can utilize that draft down that front straightaway and drag race them to the line. That would probably be the best case scenario if you're going to be taken advantage by anybody. Playing defense will be a very hard thing to do, because the way the draft's been working all race long.
Yep, and so the Mustang pace car is getting ready to pull off. We're getting ready to see the green and the white flag at the same time. Welcome to Friday morning on the East Coast. We're going back green at Indy for 1 lap. Joe Branch out in front. Jason Galvin running 2nd for this 1-lap shootout. And you got Joe Hassert sitting back there in 3rd position. Jason Galvin riding in the draft in that wake of Joe Branch, but he has to go defensive with Joe Hassert back there as well. Joe Branch is going to hold on to the lead, at least coming out of 2. They're snaking around. Jason Galvin's going to get to the outside of him. Looking like he went 3 wide here. Joe Hassert on the outside going into turn 3. There, wheel to wheel, 3 wide. Little bit of contact there. Jason Galvin gets bumped just a little bit. He's coming down. Joe Hassert's right there as well. Joe Hassert's going to have a lot of momentum here coming off of 4. They are coming down to the line. Go! Jason Galvin gets third. He's in the air. Stouffer is going to win this race. Wardlow.
Oh no, Wardlow, excuse me, but someone's flying across the front stretch like crazy. Holy cow. What a race. What a finish. Oh my gosh.
Whoa.
The DwarsCandy.com.
Ryan Otis finished 2nd in this race with Jake Wright 3rd.
Oh, holy cow. Have you, if you want to quote DW, have you ever?
No, I've never.
Wow.
And this is just hard racing coming to the line. You're going to see a little bit of contact. I think Joe Hassert got into Jason Galvin just a little bit and put him into Joe Branch, and cars flying through the air. And
oh my God, I tell you what, Jason Galvin went over the pit wall and literally into the pits, and I'm talking behind the pit wall. That was nuts.
Yeah, now it's on the 2nd hit there.
Right here. Going to go over that pit wall right here into pit road and pretty much entering the pits there. But
Tough. We knew it was going to be exciting. We're right along here.
With Wardlow, right? Yeah, this is
Look at the
Wardlow.
seas just part for Dustin Wardlow. He's going to see that checkered flag in Indianapolis. That's he went on the radio saying sorry to see that happen, but Dustin Wardlow does come away with the race win here for today. Wow. I think me and Tanner need a moment to catch our breaths. I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We'll come right back and talk to a few of the drivers. Wow. I think that's the only word that can describe the last lap of this race. And coming away, really your top five here is completely different than what it was when we took the green flag at the start. Dustin Wardlow coming away. Dustin was up front, toward the front, the entire back half of the race. And he ended up being in the right place at the right time. And he comes away with the win here for today, crossing the yard of bricks first. Ryan Otis being able to recover from a bad timed caution for him in the middle of a pit cycle earlier on. He's going to come home second. Same thing with Jake Wright. He was in the same boat as Ryan Otis. He's coming home third. There is your podium. Wardlow, Otis, and Wright, your top three. Johnson coming home in fourth. Jägerliner in fifth. Chris Lanini coming home in sixth. And how about Rory Collins being able to finish this thing in seventh, and our very own Samuel Raymond coming home in eighth position. And Robert Blewett in ninth. And that's where the craziness starts. Big Joe Hassard, who is one of the cars to beat today, comes home in 10th. And here you go, Tanner, for the rest of the top next 11 on the board.
Absolutely. Jason Galvin, who pretty much dominated, led the most laps today, comes flying through the air, coming to the checkered, and he will wind up in the 11th position. Patrick Taylor, it will finish in 12th. Ed Tutwiler, 13th. Joe Branch, involved in that last lap accident, coming to the checker, will finish 14th. Chris Stouffer actually was involved in the accident on the front stretch here. I thought he made it through, but he did not. He'll finish in 15th. James Paulson in 16th. Mitchell Moeller in 17th. Ron Hacker in 18th. Dylan McKenna had a great night tonight. Unfortunately, his spins took him to the 19th position tonight. And Andrew Kinsella had an emergency, so he had to get off the racetrack to go attend to that. So hopefully everything's all right there. He will finish in 20th.
Yeah, going to 21st, Pierre Daigle, who, of course, had won here with the previous incarnation of this type of series, the Kart Retro Series. It was not meant to be today for him. He comes home in 21st. George Anzaldo had himself a really good race going on, but unfortunately, some bad luck befell him as well. 22nd position. Same thing with Mark Muck today, 23rd. David Altman, heartbreaker for David Altman there, too. He was up there running up front, and had, unfortunately, things did not go his way. 24th position today. Scott Bolster in 25th. Tony Schuin coming home in 26th. Another guy that ran up front, ended up coming down for pit stops. Just had a car coming from, get loose right in front of him, and ended his day. 27th goes to Frank Beezer. 28th, Brian Greenlee. Bart Workman in 29th. Vincent Blumenthal in 30th position. I'll round out the rest of the field here as we look going back to 31st position is Matthew Mercer. Brandon Limpkeman coming home in 32nd. Dan Guerin in 33rd. Jack Bogan, unfortunately, one of the first cars out today, in 34th position. And Drew Motz did not take the grid. So, one guy that we really, really want to talk to and how he got through it, Dustin Wardlow, our race winner here for today, and I think Tanner is caught up with him.
Wow, I'm down in victory lane. There is celebration all over the place. And Dustin, man, that had been a little crazy moment for you there, coming off turn number 4. Take us through from turn 4 to the checkered flag.
Oh, there were a lot. There was a lot of craziness even prior to that. That was insane. It was like you could fit 4 of us in a cardboard box there for a while. But I really felt good coming off a 3. And at the restart, I was just hoping to get a top 5, but I had Ryan and Jake right behind me, so I was kind of just banking on a top 10. But the car felt really good. It found its groove. That it felt better on older tires, and I was really light on fuel, and everything worked out for me. But I am so sorry to see that happen up front. I think Galvin would have had that wrapped up, and man, I'm floored here. I'm still shaking actually.
Started 18th today on the grid, and you were kind of up and down the leaderboard in your dwarscandy.com machine. And take us through your day. Otherwise, like I said, you were up and down the leaderboard, and you only led one lap, which was the main important one, the final one. But how was the racing overall today for you?
Yeah, I've heard that about that one lap thing. I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't had a whole lot of luck in practice, so I was mostly just following Christopher around lap after lap for a while, and I think Jake was just sitting back there doing the same thing. And every now and then, I think we were all content just to ride around and follow each other. The moving up and down thing was just, when you have a run, it almost takes more effort to woe up and would create a situation. So sometimes you just kind of go for a move, but I don't think anybody was trying to be aggressive. I think we just got good runs on each other, and it was that way the whole race. It was just crazy. I'm grateful that it was as clean as it was, because that was some fun stuff up until disaster struck at the end.
I tell you what, it's been fun stuff since the drop of the green flag on lap 1 all the way to the checkered flag, watching the racing go back and forth, and then the last lap coming to a line incident, and you cut yourself right through without incident. That was really cool to watch. So congratulations. Now we're going to another oval track in 2 weeks' time at the Milwaukee Mile, which is the oldest track in the United States, believe it or not. How do you feel about your chances on maybe getting another victory, or maybe a top 5 finish at the Milwaukee Mile?
Oh, don't ever bank on this guy when it comes to ovals. I'm a road course guy.
I see that.
I didn't start racing. I got my A-class license in oval, and then I stopped. I didn't start racing oval until I joined up with Lionheart, and man, what a good group to learn with. And the way that the league is run too, it really it keeps top caliber people in here, and it's a lot more pleasant than getting banged up on a public server. So thank you for everybody who's been looking out for me this whole time.
All right there, Dustin. Well, we thank you for coming to take the time to talk with us. We'll let you get back celebrating in the famed victory lane of Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
The milk is cold. Yeah. Thank you very much.
That was Dustin Wardlow winning the race, and previous to this, he actually had a best finish of 4th place, both at Montreal and Watkins Glen. So this is his best finish, and now he won a race on the oval side. And Adam, who have you caught up with?
Yeah, we want to grab Ryan Otis, our 2nd place finisher here for today. Ryan, it's kind of, the seas just kind of parted for you at the right time to get through all that there. Take us through what you saw coming off 4.
Oh yeah, boy, that was, I knew it was going to be, pretty close and just pretty crazy having the 1 lap shootout to the end. And, I was coming off the corner, and I could see the guys, moving around and jockeying for position. And I saw, it looked like somebody got scraped against the wall or something. And so I just dove inside and tried to stay away from it. I didn't think Jake had a big run on me from behind, so I felt like I was pretty safe, and then the whole thing just exploded, and I was just trying to shoot the gap.
Well, of course, that was the excitement of the last lap, but you had some, pretty much your own excitement going through the race. Kind of got caught out with a little bit with the pit cycle there, and a caution happening in the middle of the pit cycle. And I'm guessing with that one last caution there about 25 laps ago, you were happy to see that caution, weren't you?
Oh yeah, I definitely needed a caution there just to catch back up to the rest of the field, because we'd kind of lost touch. I was working with some guys trying to catch up to the pack that we eventually caught, but we were so far out of touch with the leaders that we definitely needed that caution.
All right. Well, we know you're mostly a road racer, but Milwaukee Mile, of course, a flat mile track. How well do you think you're going to do there?
I think it's a fun track. I think it's one of those tracks that you can really wheel the car around. So I'm actually looking forward to it. Like you said, I am really a road racer, but some of these tighter ovals I feel pretty at home at. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun.
All right. Well, hey, Ryan, appreciate you stopping by to talk to us here, and congratulations on your 2nd place finish, and we'll see you next time at Milwaukee.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. With that, I believe Tanner is caught up with Jake Wright. We'll get him down in the booth and talk to him.
I've caught up with Jake Wright, who gets a third-place finish. And Jake, you look like you were kind of disappearing a little bit there. You got as low as 8th place in the lead pack up there, the last car in the lead pack, and all of a sudden the big mayhem happened off of turn number 4, coming to the checkers, and you get a top 3 spot. Once again, you've been on a roll in the last about 4 or 5 races now. Talk about coming in on that last restart there.
Man, I got lucky with that finish. I was not expecting to finish up 3rd, but just the whole race towards the end, once the pit cycles were getting finished up, I just saw the 8 of us were in a pack and 5 of them were going nuts side by side and, racing each other, and I figured I'd just hang back to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And you were actually one of the drivers that were being a front runner all race long, especially hanging out in that top 10. From your standpoint, how was the racing out there? I bet it was a lot of fun because it was a lot of fun up here to watch it here in the booth.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was one of the best races we've had this season in terms of just excitement. It was scary though, being that close, but that's what the excitement is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're so far this season, your worst finish has been 15th, and that's actually some tremendous stats right there. And that happened at Pocono, which is an oval. But we're going to be going to another racetrack, which is similar to a track that you won at, which was New Hampshire. Next week, we're going to the Milwaukee, or not next week, in 2 weeks' time, we're going to the Milwaukee Mile. How do you feel about your chances on getting another victory, win number 2 this season?
Milwaukee could be fun. I enjoy those flat little mile ovals, and these things, they drive around those places like butter, so I'm excited.
All right, sounds good. Well, congratulations on that top 3 spot, and keep the momentum up there, Jake, because we like seeing you up towards the front and battle for that race lead, and hopefully get another victory soon.
Thanks.
That was Jake right there, Adam, and I tell you what, I believe you're going to catch up with the guy who dominated the day, which was Jason Galvin there.
Yeah, I always call my fellow newsman, but unfortunately today, not much newsworthy going on, at least at the overall look at the finish. But Jason, he had quite an eventful race, being up front almost the entire day, and then just things happened to you there on the one-lap shootout. Take us through that final lap.
Yeah, man, that was a tough one. I'm about as heartbroken as I've ever been after a race. And I know I haven't talked to Joe yet, and I know Joe feels bad. I do. So I vented already, and I've watched it, and Joe Hassert wouldn't wreck anybody on purpose. So I mean, Joe and I had kind of talked a little. We knew we were chatting back and forth on private there. Him and I are teammates on the NASCAR side. We raced well together, and we knew that Joe Branch and Chris Stouffer were probably going to try to get together with their adrenaline cars, and I got a good restart, and I was able to be where I wanted to be. I knew from practice that the middle, for some reason, in a 3-wide situation, seemed to work out the best, and a branch drifted up out of 3 and bumped us coming out of 3, and I really thought that was it. And when it straightened out and Hassert was behind me, I thought the race was over. Because Branch was all alone. The side draft was so big. I thought Big Joe was going to get a run and try to take us inside 3 wide and just run out of time. And I don't know. I mean, at first, I really thought that he was trying to bump draft me. And I know that he said that he was trying to go to the middle, and I don't think the middle was there the way that he was hoping. So it's Indy. I mean, I guess that's all you can say. It's Indy. I don't blame the guy for trying. I know that he's not very happy with himself right now, and it's just frustrating. This is the one league where I feel like I really have a chance to go win a championship and compete with Ryan Otis and Jake Ryder, 2 of the best drivers on iRacing. We have talent across the board in this league. But Ryan and Jake are so good, and I got a win on a road course a couple weeks ago, which I never thought I'd do against those guys, and I felt good all night. I felt like I was the guy to beat, and then I felt like I had it won. It was just kind of pulled away. But you know what? We'll regroup, and I forget what's next. I want to say Mid-Ohio, which terrifies me because that might be my least favorite racetrack of all time. I think that I'd rather put my feet in a bucket of concrete and try to foot race Usain Bolt than run a car around Mid-Ohio. So we'll see how that goes. But I could not be happier for Dustin Wardlow, though, the fact that he won. Dustin is an incredible person. He's from here in Bakersfield with me. We've become pretty good friends off the track here in the last month or so, and I'm super happy for the Candyman. I'm gonna go have a divorce chew for him. But thank you to all you guys, everything you do at GSRC, and to George and everybody at Lionheart, our admin team, and Pierre Desglais came in and kind of calmed me down a little bit after the race. And again, I don't have anything bad to say about Joe. It's a bad finish, but it shouldn't take away from how good that race was. I mean, we ran 2 and 3 wide for 65, 70 green flag laps up front for the lead, and nobody put a wheel wrong until the final 200 yards, which is pretty darn impressive if you ask me.
Well, I at least got a little bit of good news for you. It's not Mid-Ohio next, it's Milwaukee.
Oh, really?
You get to go. You get to go trade wheels at the one of the other historic racetracks in the Midwest. So
ironically, I like Mid-Ohio quite a bit. So maybe that'll cheer me up. Maybe we can get a good finish there, and it'll pull me back together. For some reason, I thought Mid-Ohio. I think Mid-Ohio is on this schedule, and if it is, it's horrifying. And if it's not, then I'm gonna rejoice because again.
Well, it's actually the next one after Milwaukee.
Oh man,
so
you had to go and ruin it for me, Adam. Way to go.
Hey, it's ups and downs, man. That's how it goes. All these things.
Indeed.
Well, hey, at least congratulations on a good run here for us today. Even though it didn't shape up the way you wanted to be, you ran up front, and hopefully we see you up front again here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, appreciate it. Like I said, they knew I was here to play, and I guess that's at the end of the day, if you can walk away from a racetrack, whether it's a sim track or in real life, and know that you did everything you could have done to win a race and probably should have won it, then I guess the real finish doesn't matter. You can hold your head up high. So that's what we'll try to do. Pack it up and go to Milwaukee.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for stopping by, Jason. I think Joe's trying to say that the guys that always show up on TV are probably talking too much right now. So you have a good night, and try to get to sleep.
All right, guys. You too.
All right. Well, hey, that's all the time we got here for tonight. And Tanner, any final thoughts before we head to Milwaukee here real quick?
That was probably that was actually not one of the, it is the best Lionheart race that I've ever watched here, especially coming from the retro series part of it. But the regular Lionheart series for the DWs are coming back to Indianapolis, so that's going to be another fun one to watch for their Indianapolis 500. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to Milwaukee in this series that's come up in 2 weeks' time. It is going to be a lot of fun, folks. You don't want to miss all this action here on GSRC.
And, of course, that's going to be a full-length Indy 500 coming out of the Lionheart guys coming up here in I think about a week or so. But with that, we do want to thank Lionheart, the Lionheart Racing Series, for organizing the league here. And, of course, you can find more about them at lionheartracingseries.com. Thanks to the software and hardware that we use for our broadcast, you can see listed there on your screen. Also, thanks to our musical contributors, Eric Echolm and Casey Lalonde, whose music you can also find at the websites listed. Thanks to the team today, Tanner, Joe, Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /GlobalSimRacingChannel. The next race is going to be June 15th. It's going to be the Area 51 Racing Retro 150 at Milwaukee. You can find that right here on GSRC Channel, once again, June 15th at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Soup will be here in my chair. Tanner will be here also, and they'll have all the action for you. We'll also have upcoming races for other series on screen, so check those out and mark them down in your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.